Welcome to the All Things BMX Show, live from the RITM studios in the busy metropolis of Heartland, Michigan. This is episode 35. We talk too much.
Holy cow,
have a special
35.
guest. 35.
That's awesome.
Well,
it's fun.
Guys.
Yeah, it's almost 36.
36.
Oh, it's 36.
No, you have it wrong. No, you have it wrong.
Who has it wrong?
You have it wrong, Justin.
No, it's 35.
35?
I'm just going to let Chris correct me. Well,
All right, let's roll.
here we go. It's BMX in Our Blood. The creator of BMX in Our Blood, Joe Doherty, is hanging out with us for episode whatever the hell it is. We talk too much.
35.
Yeah. So the last conversation I had with Joe, it went 4.5 hours.
Yes, it did.
Holy
I'm
cow.
good for 9.
Yeah.
9 hours.
9 hours. Yeah.
I think you and I could do a hell of a road trip together.
Oh, I think we'd run out of
Your
anything.
jaws would hurt.
Yeah. All right. I am your host, Justin Tompkins, longtime BMXer and lover of all things BMX, along with our co-host, Chris Beer. Chris, thanks for coming all the way out here from that wonderful area you live in over there by the concert venue that hasn't been open because of COVID. How is that affecting your tax base?
I have no idea. I hope it's not affecting it at all. But
Bringing down those property values for sure.
You don't got Bob Seger and Ted
Yeah.
Nugent and Kid Rock?
no, we don't have those guys hanging out
and
over
the
there in the
rest
Pine
of the
Knob.
Redneck Mafia over there?
No.
No?
No, not this summer. Not at
You
Pine
ever
Knob.
went to a Bob Seger concert?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. More helicopters I've ever saw landed at a concert than any rap concert I've ever been
really?
to.
Really?
And I've been to a few rap concerts.
Okay.
Make them say, remember them guys?
No.
Jesus. Oh, my God.
I'm not.
It was Master P. Chris,
sorry.
I appreciate you taking time away from hanging out with us minions over here that go to rap concerts. We've got Paul Remington, our sound engineer. We don't know where he is. He's running the streets with his loincloth from his last Civil War reenactment out in Bertucky.
Wait, loincloth and Civil War don't seem
They
to
don't
go.
go together, but okay.
If you saw the picture that man has from the newspaper when he was doing one of his Civil War reenactments, you'll see.
Oh,
Maybe it was a French-Indian War. I don't really remember.
Maybe we need that on the next show.
No, we don't. We've got
Is that
Jay.
one of them? I can't unsee that
You
deal.
can't. You can't.
that long hair blowing in the wind.
Both.
All right.
We've got Jay in the house tonight running our Things video
man.
and hanging out over on the west side of Michigan. We've got our IT guy, Charlie Salisbury, hanging with us also. Sitting behind Chris and I at the Gate 9 Producers Perch, which I guess they're on the road headed down there to the wonderful track of Rock Hill.
Rock Hill,
what I
South
hear.
Carolina.
Yeah, that's the guy and gal from Gate 9. Billy and Jenny, they are the sponsors of Melissa's Producers Porch. And we got the one
Sweet.
perch. I keep changing it week to week.
Perch.
We got the smoking
I
hot.
like them both.
Well, yeah. We have Melissa hanging out with us this evening. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good,
Well,
good,
you
good.
know.
Hey, Melissa.
You got all those swear words out?
No.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
The
Yeah.
pre-show was not up really for Joe. It kind of was. I feel like it was a letdown. There was, well, one, we didn't have Paul in here to yell at and swear at. So we've got an
Keep it
action-packed show.
G, people. Keep it G.
Before we go on the air, it's never that way. We've got an action-packed show. We're going to be talking all things BMX this evening with Joe. Joe's going to be joining us via the Mighty Mo's BMX Cruise Line, which next week we're going to be debuting the new new commercial that's probably taken about 9 years off my life. We've got another Jeremy Ames voicemail segment, followed up by our discussion of the latest news, rumors, and gossip. And which is always brought to you by our friends over at Nate's Painting. I kind of lost because Nate had won the gate thing, and we haven't heard anything about it yet.
No, that's true. We haven't had any
haven't.
report. Hey, like it.
Reach out.
You know, all that cool
Jesus.
stuff.
What we should get him to record a little
Something.
promo on it.
Yeah. It's a little,
I know.
little review or something like that on there.
You'd think.
All right.
Show's openings brought to you by our friends over at Truth BMX. It's time to get your frosty adult beverage. Grab some Mandingo pickles and chips, and don't be late for the gate. Chris, let them know where they can listen and see the show.
All right, welcome into the show, everybody. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Show is broadcast. We want you to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, we're pushing that. We're trying to get our algorithm going on YouTube, so when people search BMX, we are one of the things that pops up in there. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube. Our YouTube broadcast is brought to you by T-Bone BMX. We have Twitch. We're on Twitter, which is sponsored by Holly Power Sports, and Twitch, which is brought to you by RSVP Wedding and Event Planners. So make sure you check all that out. Also, you can check out the podcast version of our show on Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all of our podcast versions of the show are brought to you by the folks over at Gate 9 Custom Number Plates. So if you're looking for a custom plate for yourself or your team, go check out Gate 9 Custom Plates. And rumor has it he's doing jerseys also. So if you're
designing them,
special design jersey for yourself, your team, get a hold of Billy over at Gate 9 Custom Plates. He'll hook you up with anything you need.
Well, I imagine it'll be a game of telephone in the chat, too, because I'm guessing he's driving, which means Jenny from the block's going to be typing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to be typing what he tells her to type.
Potentially.
Okay.
She could also maybe screen it a little bit. So who knows?
There you go.
It's a crapshoot at this point in time.
All right. So we want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's driving down to Rock Hill, South Carolina for the National this coming weekend. So that's what we're talking about in case anybody wonders.
Let us know where you're at.
Yeah. So get in the chat. If you have any questions, get them in the chat. Let us know where you're listening from on the road or wherever it be. And we will be right back after we hear from our friends at RSVP Wedding and Event Planning.
RSVP Wedding and Event Designs. Anything you can imagine under the sun for your wedding, corporate event, parties, or even private events. Winner of the prestigious Best of Weddings by the Knot. Family owned and operated by some really cool BMXers. Call them now, 248-301-5522. And tell them that the Michigan BMX Podcast Show sent you. Well, we now want to welcome you to tonight's special guest, someone that I've spent many, many times recharging my cell phone while we're talking.
Yeah.
Joe, how are you?
Wasn't it?
It was
worth it.
It was absolutely worth it.
It was good for me.
Well, we'll just keep it. It was good for both of us.
All right.
Now, I will interject and say that I don't think Justin and I have ever spent that amount of time on the phone.
Oh, come on.
I you know what?
I'm slightly jealous.
Really?
I hate to say it, but I've had this conversation with quite a few women and their husbands.
I have never known two men that could talk that long before.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. We could do a 12-hour overnight so we could get to Austin, Texas for something to go ride Night Street.
Next time that they have the toast jam. We're
when they used to, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect. But, yeah, we could keep each other awake, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right.
You throw Colin in there.
Oh,
my
style man.
gosh,
Mix
yeah.
that drink up.
Yeah, right.
Woo, woo. That's across the country right there.
Oh, yeah.
Hot stirring styles?
Yeah.
Hot stir styles?
Pot stirring Colin Styles.
There you go.
Well, shout out to the style man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I ask real quick, 9% tonight, Melissa?
Oh.
That is low, Joe.
What's that?
That was pretty low.
You know what's funny is I really don't know the story, and I don't need to know the story.
You don't.
Oh, I know what she's talking about now.
There is no story.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the way the sailor, Chris Beers, was talking earlier, I was going to re-nickname him Chris Gin and Tonic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was
Except
a
his is the
classy
water.
drink.
It went from Flanders on The Simpsons to Chris Gin and Tonic.
Flanders on The
gosh.
Simpsons. That's an interesting
That's a good one.
comparison.
It's a good one.
And by the way, on a serious note, I really do appreciate the way the three of you guys work together. I think it's amazing. You guys play off each other so well.
Well, thank you.
It's a
Yeah,
lot
we
of fun to
appreciate
listen
that.
to. I normally listen to the audio only.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and
We're
I can
much
play
better
the
in
audio
person.
only version as well.
Right.
I told you those faces for radio.
All right.
Hey, me too.
We
Me
said
too.
we
That's why I don't know why we're
Tell
doing this.
everybody
on video.
knows and what do you...
You said you wanted to
Justin
keep
got a
this
bug up his
podcast
butt
going.
one day and thought we should be live, and here we are.
Yeah. Like, why not compound? Well,
Yeah, it's not just a podcast. It's
the funny thing was I couldn't figure out how I'm like, how does a podcast work? Where do you put it and how does it go out to everybody? And after digging around for a while, I was like, you know what? Well, I've done Facebook Live. We'll just do that. And then one of my friends was like, "Hey, there's this software, man. You can do some cool things with it." And from there it went. And then I still didn't understand the podcast stuff until the night of our very first. Please
First
don't go
one.
back and watch that show. Please.
No,
Please do
don't.
not go back and watch that show. And Chris and I were sitting
Episode
across
1.
from each other awkwardly like this. Staring at and it's like the guest is on a TV like up here and we're like turning and looking. It's so weird. Yeah, and then that night I remember sitting up and finally figuring out like, oh, it's kind of like having a website. Like you just put it here and everybody can come and get it. So, but we were already
We've come a long way.
we were in it. We were already in it for the live stuff. So
Now 35 episodes later.
36.
Nope.
35.
I gotta pad them numbers.
No lies.
Hopefully we'll get some number padding through this episode. I hope.
Sure.
But we'll see what
You know,
happens.
we really haven't properly introduced our guest yet. We
No,
should probably
it's-
do that so folks know who we're talking
It's a pretty
to.
casual show tonight.
Oh yeah, you bet it will be. For sure. Go ahead.
So for those of you that don't know who our guest is, this is Joe Doherty, and he hosts the In Your Blood yeah, boy, I really screwed that.
Yeah, you did.
The BMX In Your Blood podcast.
There you go.
So we're going to be talking podcasts and all things BMX.
Awesome.
So one of our first questions we always ask our guests, Joe, is the same one: is how did you find BMX? Where did you how did you find it? How did you get started in BMX? Was it trails, racing? How did you find it?
What's your story?
Yeah.
Oh man, I believe it or not, my daughter's laughing right now because I told her, I said the first question is usually how did you discover BMX, and I don't have a really incredible story, but I will tell you that it was an odd kind of thing where there were a lot of BMX bikes in our neighborhood, so it was almost nobody had raced. There was just a lot of BMX bikes. So somehow, I wanted one. And I think it was a backup, believe it or not, to surfing. My sister had subscribed to a surfing magazine for me. And I wanted to do whatever they were doing in California. But, living in Connecticut, there's not much to surf. But
Unless you like rock kisses.
yeah, if you're Kelly Slater rich, then you could build a wave pool. But anyway, the best I can tell, it was just friends had bikes, and then we started bike trading, and then, literally the piece of wood on the cinder block, like Steve Crandall has his artwork, the same as his artwork picture. That's where it kept going, and then someone found out about a track that was. We lived right on the Connecticut border. The track was in Massachusetts. So someone found out about the track in Massachusetts, which is Whip City BMX, by the way. And we started going there. And then it just took off from there.
Okay.
Awesome.
How old were you?
Oh, I got my first bike when I was 12. This is easy. I'll be 50 next week. So this would mean that I was born in 70 and I started riding at 12 and racing at 13, I believe.
Okay.
Right around there.
Cool.
So, yeah, like 83.
All right.
Don't worry, it's not going to be the trivia question. For those of you listening, just calm down.
Yeah, that's not it.
They see me move over like I'm writing something down.
Right.
So, Joe, give us a family breakdown. I know you're married and you mentioned a daughter. What
I am. I think I'm still married after
Okay,
the last
well.
conversation with Justin, but
Well,
I don't know. I haven't really talked with her since then.
Yeah, I was going to say you're out of phone quarantine, so.
Yeah. I'm good again, but everything's good.
Earned your privileges back.
Anyhow, my beautiful wife of 23 years, she actually will be home any moment. She works for a vet, so she has crazy hours. But there's of course her, and then we have a 23-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old son. Our daughter is living here with us at home, and our son is in Jersey chasing the surfing dream while he lives with his girlfriend.
Oh,
right.
Good surfing in Jersey.
Here's your trivia question. It's where did the Instagram handle Ground 2000 come from? I could tell you that if you want. So if you want to do that, well, actually, you know what? No, because Melissa comes up with these all.
That's okay. But tell us the story, and I pick
Sure.
up something along the line. I have it.
All right, sounds good. But the Ground 2000 came from, I believe I sent Justin a picture of my son at the first surfing contest we ever went to, which was, of course, where there were waves, which was Jersey, which ironically he lives a mile away from where that event was. No, I'm sorry, that was Long Island. So the picture I sent was from Long Island. And so in surfing, the younger kids are called Groms. And I think it's kind of the same with BMX in some ways. Oh, there you go. There's the picture. He scored half of a surfboard that a guy broke. So, and he was born in the year 2000. So there's the Ground Dad 2000. So he's a son of me, and born in 2000. So Ground Dad 2000.
Okay.
Very cool.
Wow, you took up a lot.
So that's your Instagram?
Oh wow, I have that one behind me. All right,
Oh, yeah,
I'll try to stick this. I'm enjoying this slideshow. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Come back, Joe. Come back.
There's the podcast interview station that was at Ray's. I was too chicken shit to go up to you and talk at.
Yeah. What? Oh man, should we talk about? Are we ready
when we
to
were
get to that point?
when we were down there at Old Fools, I kept riding by.
we'll get
looking.
there, Joe.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, come on. Hey, I've got a friend that's watching. He just texted me and said, "Nice metal sign in the background." So I know I'm
Let's
all
take
over
a
the
look
place,
at it.
but I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
right.
I'll get back to Justin being a chicken shit for sure.
Oh,
Oh,
we totally.
God.
Where did we just see those?
This thing,
That's
the guy
sweet.
that just texted me, his name is Ray Monell. He's from New York, so I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah.
That way.
That's better
yeah.
that way.
Those are
It's so
sweet.
weird when you're looking at a screen and you're
Yeah.
reminded of that.
Yeah, that's
It's
where you can see
backwards,
it the
yeah,
best
but
there.
that's better.
Oh, I can do it this way.
No, backwards as
No,
in your
you're
left
fine.
is your right is your left.
How about
don't
forget
worry.
This thing?
Maybe he needs a 9%er.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, Ray made that for me when I had a broken leg. It was really, really super nice of them. So, however we took off on that, I don't know. But we covered how I got into BMX, right? We got that.
Yeah.
So your son surfed, but did any of them ride BMX?
No. I bought a BMX bike for my son during the time that I was not riding, just to see if it would take. And he jumped a bit, and I bought him an FBM Guillotine. If either of you have heard of that.
Absolutely.
Complete bike, FBM complete bike. But he wasn't that into it, but surfing grabbed him right away. So
Awesome.
there was no pulling him back from surfing. So yeah, no, I'm the only BMXer in the house, that's for sure.
How long? I'm assuming from some of what I've read that you raced for a period of time and then got away from it and came back.
Yes. Yeah, I did. So, gotta go clap. Sorry, it's awesome, but I keep looking at them like this is a slideshow that I'm supposed to have popcorn and just watch a slideshow.
This is your life, Joe Doherty.
It is my life. This is weird. It's just keep mulligan.
That's where you go. That's why I'm a podcast guy, not a video guy.
No, I mean they're so cool. That was Brian Foster at the Sayreville skate
Oh,
park.
there's that leg.
Oh yeah, I love that leg. That's a great leg if it was someone else's. So anyway, yes, Chris, I did take some time off when we started our family in '97. At the end of '97, I believe it was, I stopped. I really felt in my heart that I couldn't give 100% to family unless I kind of dedicated completely to that and put BMX aside.
Sure.
Which was pretty. I mean, it was easy when you have a family. It's a new family. You just want to focus on them 100%. But
Right.
I stayed in it until the kids were in their mid to late teens, and then I started on Instagram. I created handles so I could be not quite a helicopter parent, but a parent that was aware of what our son was doing on Instagram, just to kind of watch it.
Sure.
And one of my friends, Jeff Allen, he saw a picture of me at a skate park jumping my son's FBM guillotine that we talked about that he could care less about. So I started jumping his bike a little bit, and then my friend completely exploited me. He told everyone that I was on a bike again, and I was screwed. I was back in.
Oh.
So
That's
it.
how it goes.
I'm so happy that I got back into it. It's been good.
Great.
Cool.
Around what time was that? Like around what year?
2014.
Okay.
Okay.
So not too
Not
long
that
ago.
long ago at all.
About 6 years roughly.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's been really, really good. Coming back into it as an adult, I had different motives. Racing obviously racing and winning, we'll say, was not even on the radar. It was just fun to be back. I keep seeing this picture of Mike Savage and I, or different pictures of Mike Savage and I, and that type of vibe was fun enough. That was good enough for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun just to be with the people and hang out at the track or trail or wherever it be.
It really was. It really is, I should say. And when it was funny, Justin will remember this. When he first asked me if I wanted to be on the show, I said, sure, but when is it? And I believe he said Wednesday nights. And I said, oh man, I race Bethel Supercross on Wednesday nights. I'm not sure I can do this.
Oh.
Racing first. I mean, I have to
Got to.
there.
Right.
But and just a quick tidbit. It rained out tonight. So
Perfect.
Was this meant to be?
Kind of wondered.
You didn't miss a thing.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're on Wednesday, because our track, Waterford Oaks, is closed on Wednesday. So.
Well, except for Paul. Paul runs Richfield Park.
Oh, yeah, Paul's
So
up
he'll
at
be in here
Richfield.
screaming at us because they have practice up at Richfield Park, which is on the east side of Flint. And go ahead, Melissa.
To his defense, well, I don't know if defense is the right word, but when Paul and his board set the practice for Wednesday, we had talked about moving our show to Monday.
We did. We were.
So he
That's
thought he
right.
was going to be safe, and I think he would have advocated for a different day for practice had he known we were going to F it
That's
up and
true.
stay to Wednesday.
That's true.
So we're sorry, Paul.
Now that you're saying that, I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But
He still
That's
helps
really
out from
tricky.
afar.
I've seen a bit of that since I got back into it, and at the time I had left, it was MBL, and the tracks were. I have to be careful how I say this, but they were working together a bit more than they do now. Not to say they don't work together now; they do, but it's not quite like it was when it was MBL, where you weren't. You weren't working toward having a bigger event if you had the highest moto count or average rider count or whatever it is.
New riders.
New riders.
Yeah,
Is
that
that
seems to be the
what did you say?
competitive
I'm sorry?
button.
It's new memberships.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and renewals.
So it's a real competition, right? I mean,
It is within
Yeah.
itself, but some states have figured it out, like the Mitten. We all work together and we schedule our races in conjunction with other tracks. So, the anchor tracks, like ones that have been around for a long time, we've buddied them up with like newer tracks or tracks that have been around that have like new TOs or new groups running them
For our state series
for the
races.
state series. So that way everybody no one like it's just we got a whole group of people now that are running tracks that having a title of hey, you get to win this, it doesn't mean anything as long as we're seeing a bunch of kids out there and parents out riding right now. And that's the fun part is it brings what you were just saying, that it brings a little bit of that culture from that other sanction, the NBL, there into what we're doing now. And it makes everything grow. Like, I mean, we had at the end of this year here in Michigan, we were up from the year before, we were up 80 riders just year over year. And that was 80 riders that had done the minimum amount of races to qualify for the state series. So it works. It does work, but you have to change that mindset. And if you are in an area that was prominently dominated by, competition and cutthroat and things, we have our like we're really lucky here. Heck, Chris and Melissa and I and Jason, we didn't even get our track open this year except for our state race at Waterford. At Waterford Oaks, everybody knows that track.
Hey, but after last
I raced the Worlds there in '94.
Oh,
awesome.
Well, we have to hear this story.
Okay,
We have to hear
I'll
that.
give you a little bit of a story. I was a very average racer. I had to race cruiser also, just so I could make a main once in a while.
I know that feeling.
So,
yeah.
Hey, whatever it takes, right?
That's
I
it.
don't care if I have to trade uniforms with someone, I'll do it. But no, I'm kidding. But making the mains was difficult, and so I went to the Worlds. And back then, you had to qualify by having the most points by a certain date, and if you were in the top 10 of your class at that time, then you were invited to the Worlds. I might be off on the number just a little bit, but that was the gist of it. So anyway, the Worlds, it was amazing to have it at Waterford Oaks. My mom and I drove there together, which was cool because I never did anything with BMX with my mom. So we drove and we went the Canada route.
Oh yeah.
And it was just the most amazing experience from beginning to end, from the guys parachuting down into the infield. It was, no matter how old you were, it was an amazing event to be a part of. So
next to Melissa,
so I only
something to
qualified
see.
for cruiser, and it was 18 to 24.
holy crap, that's a massive class.
And I was 24, so I'm racing the 18-year-olds.
I bet it was.
So I'm racing Timmy Strzelecki and Justin Alfredo and all these guys from the States. And then a bunch of guys, this is the best part about the Worlds, they look like, if you size them up, you'd say, oh, I can get that guy. Look at him. He's wearing sweatpants, whatever.
He's wearing
This guy would beat you by a
sweatpants.
straightaway. This guy from Czechoslovakia or whatever. It was, so anyway,
Jason's over
somehow I kept lucking out and then making moves, and I made it all the way to the semi, and I got fifth. So I'm not Jason Carnes fifth in the semi. I'm Joe Doherty fifth in the semi. But it was so cool. Like it never bothered me to not make that main because it was so exciting. I went so much further than I thought I would, and the vibe watching everyone else was just amazing. It was just such a good time, and that was such a beautiful facility. And I'm sure it is now still. Hopefully someday I'll be able to come out and see it.
Well, it's got brand new paved turns right now, so.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Jason,
And plus some more.
Jason, Melissa, and I spent. No, you were there Saturday, right?
Yeah,
I
Saturday.
forgot you were there Saturday.
I forgot.
My bad.
Thanks.
Well, anyway, yeah, we reasphalted a bunch of the turns, but behind us, if you notice,
Oh, hang on, he's got to switch the scene.
next to
No,
next
I know
to
where you're going.
next
I
to
know where you're going with
Melissa,
this.
you'll
My little
see
children here.
those are the 94.
That's weird, Melissa, by the way.
It is the BMX babes over
Sorry,
here.
Justin. Go.
Yeah, there's your 94 Worlds trophies.
Now, I can only assume you got those from either Brian Colgrove or because I'm pretty sure he made at least one of the mains.
Nope.
No, he
Could be
didn't.
wrong.
He blew his
Or you
hamstring
found
out.
them in a dumpster.
He blew his hamstring out in practice.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. He said that on the show, right?
Yeah.
I-
Those guys are
They're
courtesy
on
of.
what do they call it? They're
They're on loan.
They're on loan from Oakland County Parks and Recs, and when we do cross paths, there's they let the show borrow this 3-ring binder that I have sitting here, and it's all the notes from like a year and a half before the Worlds.
Okay.
Like all the prep.
Yeah, so like the guy parachuting in, the balloon launch, the bands that played. I was Googling the names of the bands. There's one that still goes around playing, but all that information is in this 3-ring binder that they let us borrow, and it's pretty cool stuff. Like it's neat. Someday I'm gonna say I'd like to scan it all and post it, but that's not probably going to happen.
Not going to happen now.
But it's I'd be happy to share it. It's some cool stuff, and it's a neat look because it starts way before they had to take the trip to
It was Holland.
Holland.
Yeah.
Because the host track has to go to the track if we're going to host it the next year, we have to go to their track and help run that Worlds race the year before. So there's all the information from the Holland Worlds, and then there's all the stuff leading up to the event and how they convince the local RV dealership to take a sponsorship out and bring in 4 or 5, 6 RVs, and they made like a whole little town. Like all the volunteers officials hung out in these RVs that were on display during the races. But then when the race was done, they were actually staying in them.
Really?
Yeah, because it was such a insane logistic way for like all those people to come in. And fun fact, that was my first BMX race I ever saw in person.
What, the Worlds?
Yeah, I was home from school, and my buddy took me there, and it was like a year later, we went down there, and just to ride, had no idea. We had to jump the fence. Hopefully Dan isn't listening right now. We had to jump the fence.
Please don't jump the fence, folks.
Please don't. So we had to jump the fence, and we were riding, and I was like, where did the Statue of Liberty go? And I'm like, where did all these other bleachers go? They're like, dude, that was for the Worlds. And I'm like, what are you talking about, the Worlds? They're like, that race we came down to was the Worlds. And I was like,
right.
You thought that was every week? It was just a normal race. And they're like, well, why would you have brought your camcorder? Now, mind you, in 94, the camcorder I had was like
big.
It took a regular VHS tape.
With the big over-the-shoulder deal.
Dude, it was massive. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't know nothing about BMX. But yeah, that was my first race I ever went and saw.
I have had the fortune of being the most unnamed rider in pictures in magazines. The most often unnamed.
That's amazing.
That's an epic title.
And I say that because I wouldn't want it any other way. That's why I say that.
The most famous unnamed guy.
Because it really shows why you do things. I think you really
true.
need your name in a magazine.
So you got your picture in the magazine.
You get a picture without a name. I think it's funny because you get a picture without a name. But
well, at least you got your picture.
Going into. I'm sure the track's different now, but into the second to last turn, and
the bowl turn.
I was always like, come back. I came back, and I don't know if any of you have heard of Daniel Sprague, but I was able to catch up to him. He's from Australia, and I was able to maybe take a little more of my end of the turn, and he went off in the grass, and then he cut the entire last corner. This was the quarter, by the way, to make the semi, and he tried to team-bow me on the last turn.
Oh, dang.
And it didn't work, fortunately. So I made it. I got fourth, and then I got fifth in the last one. But why was I off on that topic? This happens to me all the time. But Waterford, just Waterford in general, I'd love to see like newer either footage or maybe pictures of the layout. Someone's
go to the, if you do Facebook, go.
Yeah, Jason will pull them up.
Facebook.
Yeah. We posted them. He'll pull them up
Facebook
so you can see them. We got to jump over to a commercial real quick. Here's what we're going to do. You want to just knock out a few of them? Just knock out a couple. Sure. That way we don't have to worry about them. So we'll go to visit our friends over at Magic, which, by the way, they are now carrying the e-bikes. So make sure you get over there.
The Intense.
The only dealer for the Intense e-bikes. And we're going to listen to our friends from Truth. And we'll be back here. You want to throw Heavy Pedals in there, and then we can just roll it out? All right, so we'll go to Heavy Your buddy, my buddy, our buddy, Chuck.
Absolutely.
All right.
I love that guy.
So we'll do all the commercials, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Metro Detroit, it's time to experience the coolest store you've never been to. Magic Motorsports in Waterford. Discover over 40,000 square feet of savings. From motorcycle parts, accessories, and service to hoodies, coats, jackets, and sunglasses from Oakley and Spy, and so much more. Looking for that perfect gift? You'll find it here. Get big discounts on everything every day. We also carry the area's largest selection of BMX bikes and accessories. And we change motorcycle tires while you wait. Magic Motorsports on Dixie Highway just west of Telegraph in Waterford.
I want the truth! the truth.
Hey, Metro Detroit, it's time to experience the coolest store you've never been to. Magic Motorsports in Waterford.
Heavy Pedals BMX Zine. Voted number 1 by the All Things BMX Podcast Show viewers. Issue 3, now out. Make sure you head over to Sloan Bicycle Shop, Ray's MTV, Reggie's, and many others to pick your copy up now. While you're at it, make sure you check out our website, pick up one of our new t-shirts, and our beer koozies to keep those drinks nice and frosty cold on those warm days at the track and trails. Heavy Pedals with a Z.
Like I did, because he was much better than me.
All
Here we
right,
go.
and we are back. And hey, speaking of, well, we were off mic, but we were talking about Moses Tillman.
Yeah.
He's got that big cruise coming up.
Ooh,
So
Not soon enough.
Not soon enough.
What do we
You
got?
saw
We got
anything
a-
on that, Joe?
Have I seen anything on the cruise?
On his BMX
Yeah.
cruise, yeah.
I listen every week, so I'm only hearing the verbal part.
Okay.
But yeah.
You and your wife should be
Absolutely.
joining
I'm
us
aware.
next September.
That's right.
Well,
Yeah.
and now we have how many old school pros? You got
3.
Stu Thompson's going, and
Mike Miranda
I think we
and
talked Harry
Howard.
Leary into it, but I think
Possibly.
he wants to hang around Melissa, not. I think.
All things are possible.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Justin, are you getting that vibe too?
So, sometimes, maybe.
Sometimes you guys are too much. So
You're
speaking
gonna
of
hang up on me soon, you know it.
So speaking of Mo, he was in the chat and he was kind of asking if his name was familiar to you and if you guys had ever raced each other because you're about the same age.
Yeah.
And he put in
His
the
name
number
is-
16.
I'm
So
sorry.
I was just gonna
sorry,
say
cut you off.
he put in the number 16 in the chat. So I'm wondering if you were 24 and he was 16. But I don't know if you were in the same age group.
Yeah, I think we were about the same age. I only raced him once because he raced pretty much from what I saw, mostly ABA. So we raced each other one time because I was almost all NBL, and it was at Bensalem, Pennsylvania. And I was racing 20-inch, so it was stacked. And Moses was one of those that was part of it being that part of the number of guys that made it stacked. But this was like Brian Foster, Larry Mears, like a bunch of really good guys. And Mo, I'm sure Mo knows these guys. But I almost made the main. I was in the fourth going to the last turn, and Mighty Mo did a Mighty Joe. He just, I went right over that turn, and I went down to the finish line. I'm like, that's not fair. I should be in this main, you know. And then I realized he's just better than me. He had more eyes. He had 6 eyes, and I only had 2. Well, 4 because he has glasses like I do now.
That's
Carmel.
hilarious.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
he was really good, and I believe he raced on a Hawk. His bike was a
Oh,
Hawk.
I
at the time.
remember
It was
the
sponsored
name.
by
Yeah.
Hawk.
Yep.
It
He
still blows
correct
my
me
mind that you
wrong
guys
on
all
that.
remember those kind of details.
Yeah, but he turned super class or single A pro, whatever you want to call it, soon after that. And I think he did well, and I believe he was the only guy ever to triple at the USA BMX Grands, or maybe it was ABA at the time.
Yeah.
Well, you and your wife should join us on the cruise, and we can get a BMX in your blood, all things BMX, something going on.
Oh, my
Podcast,
goodness.
live stream, something.
It could be 3 straight days of streaming.
There you
Y'all
go.
are gonna talk that long anyway,
There's-
so
The 3 straight days of streaming would not be the kind of streaming that you and I are talking about now. That's
No.
for sure.
What?
Because-
well then.
I'm getting it seasick. I
Oh.
swear, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
well, that could
But
be a
no,
problem.
it would be really cool. My wife's not really into cruises.
Neither was I.
But,
I'm not sure if
but
you
yeah,
are still or not.
It's pretty cool what's going on, and I hope everything settles down. I'm sure it will.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that his
definitely.
cruise will go off.
We're going to have a
Awesome.
dodgeball tournament that ATV is going to sponsor.
Yep.
On the cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have
Oh
like
my
a
gosh, it's fun.
court we're
It's
gonna
great.
rent
So if
out
Chris
for a
shows
private
up-
event.
If Chris shows up, I'm taking his block off.
So nice.
What episode is it, Chris?
What episode?
Here, this is for your helicopter.
That might be worth going in and of itself.
Hey, we will shamelessly plug that.
I will be recording the entire event.
We'll be live streaming.
We can, I say maybe we can live stream. Depends how they have their
Well, you
internet
can't live
set up.
stream on a crew. Well, I guess you can.
We'll just put it on Chris's tab.
Oh, that's how that works.
Put that
All right.
internet on his.
Ugh, that's gonna be rough. Are they gonna let us bring some of this stuff on the ship? I don't know. I
and
guess.
Chris Allen, that was the other thing. There'd be a three-way there.
Chris Allen too.
Chris has
Chris's
just
corner.
reminded me.
Yeah, Chris's corner.
Yep. Podcast on the deck.
It's going to be a lot. So let's go back and.
Speaking of podcasts.
Yeah, speaking of podcasts. Excellent segue. When did the idea for BMX in Our Blood start?
Oh boy. About a year before it started, which would have been, I should have written down the date. I believe I started recording podcasts in October of, I'm 20 now, would have been October of 2000. Geez, I think it was 18, but it may have been 17. I think it's been about 2.5 years, right? So that puts us
so you were only back in BMX 2 years then.
What's that?
You were only back in BMX 2 years and then started the podcast.
Just about 3.
Just about 3? Okay.
3.
And we won't go into too deep into the fundraising aspect of things for me, but it was something else that was kind of brewing, kind of working out of that whole fundraising part of my life for BMX. And I just realized, I'm like, geez, I have a lot of really nice connections from when I was in BMX in the mid-school era. And I kind of felt, I'd been listening to, there was only a couple podcasts at the time, one of them being Rail to Berm, and I think
Space Brothers.
Geez, the one other one may have been the Come Up, which was obviously not a BMX racing podcast. And I thought, I was listening to Rail to Berm and I was appreciating the effort, and I'm thinking, but I want something else. I want to hear like long form conversations like we're having tonight. And it was one of those moments where it was another one of those, if you think you can do it and do it the way you want to, then you should just do it yourself. If it's such a, if you're so sure of it. So, this is me talking to myself in my head. So it took about 9 months, and I asked a few friends, and then I pulled the trigger, and it was crazy how I pulled the trigger, because I was at Women's Weekend out in, it's called Caddy Woods out in eastern Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So that's Saturday, and then Sunday is Posh Woods, which is, I'm pretty sure you guys would have heard of both of those sets of trails.
We were going to go visit them when we were out yonder.
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
It's pretty far from Pittsburgh since it's eastern PA, but
yeah, we found that out.
Worth the drop.
We got an A for effort.
We did. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
We found out it wasn't as close as we thought it was.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. The trails are amazing.
They are.
But anyway, there was a transgender woman there, Chelsea Wolf. She used to go by Chelsea Fietz Gooden, something like that. And she has relatives close to where I live. And I just thought, you know what? I've been thinking about this for long enough. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to start with her. And then so I asked her, and we did it the following week. But I'd love to say that I planned to start with Chelsea. It turned out to be one of those things where everything happens for a reason, and I ended up with her as my first podcast, and a lot of people said it was very bold to pick someone that's controversial, and she was working on trying to get into the Olympic qualifying. So it ended up being a pretty deep conversation. So anyway, it kicked off with that, and then I thought, wow, that went well. I'm going to keep going. It may not have come out, like you guys were talking about your first one. I'm sure it wasn't great, but the concept and the conversation was just, I can't tell you how it affected the rest of what I did. I can't tell you enough about how it affected the rest of what I've done since then.
Well, I can tell you right then, listening to that show, I was instantly a fan, because that was a topic that was, well, it's very controversial in all aspects, but it's like, wow. And I think I shared with you before, I didn't realize that was your first show, but that was when I stumbled across it and I was listening to it, and like I still remember like where I was, what I was doing that day. I was off of work from a car accident, and I was getting ready to go out and mow the damn grass, and I turned it on and I'm listening to the thing, and I was like, oh, wow, that's what we're going to tackle. So I couldn't turn it off and put it on the headphones and went out and did the yard work, and from that moment I was hooked on the podcast, and I was like, wow, that's you just come out, and as I'll say, you just putting your nuts in the wheelbarrow and carrying them around. I was like, Jesus, that's a topic like everyone talks about, but no one wants to tackle, just because of, everyone has their own views on it and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that was awesome. And then I remember talking to some of the guys at the track and whatnot, and it's like, you got to check this thing out, man. And it grew from there.
And thank you for giving that one a chance, because that was really, to me, that really, it really let me know that well, obviously the reach of social media is huge, but I didn't really feel that way. I felt like I was recording it and then posting it. Only a couple friends will listen to it, but I was absolutely interested in her story, and I'm just really happy that it happened, and to hear you tell that story is amazing, because I don't know the effect always that podcasts that I do have on people. I've had a number of them. I think one of my friends told me that I like to make men cry, because I've had a few podcasts that I don't like to talk about myself in this way, but I think when you have a face-to-face podcast, and I know I mentioned this in mine, I'm sure you've heard it, it's almost disarming when you talk to someone face-to-face, and it turns into a conversation without any idea that there's even a microphone near you.
So folks that aren't familiar with your show, you go to the person or they come to you, so you're not over the phone or anything like that. It's face to face, one-on-one.
It is, and okay. I like to say that, because I like to explain that, because that's what I believe, but I don't believe there's any correct way to do it, because everyone has their own idea, which is great. Your idea, what you guys are doing as a show, I love it. I think it's great. You'll probably get me to start watching it on Facebook now, on YouTube. Yes. And I swore I'd never sit here and watch anything, because I'm just not a watcher. I like to listen while I'm, like Justin, you're saying, mowing the lawn, but I listen while I drive to work. I listen, there's so many opportunities to listen. So I happen to prefer to do it that way, but
sure.
But yeah, what you guys are doing is great, and that start gave me a lot of confidence, and I did not have a lot of confidence going into that at all whatsoever. And we don't want to make this podcast as long as Justin and my conversation on the phone.
No, we won't.
No, because people actually have to go to work tomorrow, right?
We got some time.
But it did. It changed a lot of things, and gave the confidence. What I was getting at is that part of that you'll read in the issue 3 of Heavy Pedals, because I talk a bit about that, and I think I titled that contribution "Find Your Voice," and that had started probably at the first jam that I held to fundraise. And then it just really took off when I interviewed Chelsea. So the confidence became greater, and I was starting to recognize a change in myself, that I was a bit more comfortable. And I was not like that before I came back into BMX. So I feel that's an important story for kids to hear, for sure, let alone adults. There's a lot of adults that have some tough anxiety issues, and just a lot of social challenges, we'll say.
Sure.
it's not easy to do what the four of us are doing, and the people in the background. I don't want to forget about them that are helping you put this together.
Mm-hmm.
But the four of us that are on it's not easy, And,
No.
But to grow into that is pretty cool,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I know we had a lot of nerves that first time we hit the go live button.
Definitely.
That was
morphed a lot.
Here we go.
Well, you mentioned too, not like, kind of always enjoying talking about yourself or how you reach out to people. And I think that's happened to these guys too. I think it's amazing when you start getting out to races and people are just coming up to you out of the blue and, oh my gosh, I love listening to you. This was so funny. And you're like, wait, what? You're really listening? Like,
right.
That's amazing. And just watching our followers grow, and it's been huge.
Yeah, where's your helicopter at?
Right.
Yeah, best story. Kid comes up to me in Toledo, and I'm pushing my bike, and he goes, little guy, hey, you're Melissa's boyfriend on that show. I was like, dude, don't go anywhere. I have to go get her right now because she will not believe this.
This is great. Instead of saying, Justin's girlfriend,
Nope.
Melissa's boyfriend.
Melissa's boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, don't you go anywhere, man.
That's funny. I've been getting that my whole life too, because I have two younger brothers, and and so as they went through high school, they were always like, "Oh, you're Melissa's little brother."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Everybody precedes me
Do
apparently.
you know how bad I wanted to be there to see that?
Oh God.
You were probably only about 50 feet away.
Oh, was I?
It was the.
You were in line.
No, yeah, you were in line. It was the season. opener.
I
Down
wish
there.
I'd
It
have
was,
seen that.
I'm not. Did I say Fort Wayne? I meant Toledo.
No, you said Toledo.
Okay, yeah, it was Toledo. It was when you come down.
Man.
It was when you flew your chopper down and landed at the
Speedway.
At the Speedway. Best is he's standing in line and I'm yelling over at him from the gate.
Gosh.
If he drove his Maybach or flew his helicopter, and these people in line are like,
Oh, you should have seen.
they start
the looks
looking
I
over
was
at the
getting.
Speedway, like if it was really there or not. It was so
Who
funny.
is that?
All these people in line are looking at me like, who in the world is this guy and who does he think he is? And I'm like, dude, I'm just standing here with my USA BMX card and my money to sign up for this race.
But all jokes aside, though, it's nice to get that feedback. Because the goal is to, like, we're enjoying what we're doing, and believe me, I know jack nothing about BMX until Justin and I started dating, even more so the second time now.
Yeah.
But just to think that people like care enough, and this sport is just amazing. It's like nothing I've ever been involved in before, and it's such a family atmosphere, and it's awesome to be able to think that we're putting back in as much as we're getting out of it. And it just, I don't know, it's just nice to make a difference, and it's awesome to meet somebody who kind of shares the same values and feels that way about the sport too. I was still listening to another live interview that you did. I think the only other live interview with you that exists, and I can't remember the name of the guy that was interviewing you, but
Brant Moore.
Brant, that's right.
Yep.
And you had mentioned,
Interview much.
yeah, no, it was great though.
You guys asked me.
Well, and I liked some of his questions. So if you were looking at our script, you might notice that there's some similar questions there. But it was just nice to kind of listen to you vibe and really get into depth with him. Why you started the show, and I'm hoping that maybe you can share that with us, even if it's the same answer.
Yeah.
As far as like what's the goal behind your project?
Well, as with you guys, I mean, ripping in the mitten, that was the original deal, right?
Yep.
And then
That was part of it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it wasn't. That was Colin's suggestion, and then you went all things BMX, right?
Yeah. Well, we started out the
But-
Michigan BMX podcast show.
But we're still ripping in the mitten because that's the studio we're in.
I got you.
Yeah.
Our RITM.
The RITM Studios
Ripping in the
Heartland,
mitten.
Michigan.
That's right.
There you go.
We're never gonna let that go. It's
No.
and shout out to Colin. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 Actually, that came
Colin,
from the interview
I'm sorry.
I was on with him.
Yep.
on what was it?
The Friday
Rail
night.
to Berm. I'm like, we're just hanging out up here, ripping in the mitten. And then he was like, when he was on this show, he's like, you gotta change the name to that. And I had no idea. I was just like, oh, it just came out.
Yeah.
But to your thing, like how what was it that got you going, and like what's your goal with what you're doing?
Yeah, my goal, what I was getting at with that, talking about you as well, is I think as you get into it, it starts to evolve a little bit. But originally it was because I always felt that the East Coast gets very, very little shine. Even now, I don't think it's, of course we have a way now, whether you're an individual on Instagram or YouTube, having a YouTube channel, you have a way that you can promote yourself and reach, Californians, or I should say, even if you want to look at it as competition, if it's strictly about racing for you or trails or whatever. Now there aren't magazines anymore. This is the magazine era that I'm remembering. But I wanted to kind of get the East Coast, the stories from the East Coast BMXers out. And I think we have a very unique area that I live in, New England, and then we'll include New York and Pennsylvania and Jersey into that, because it's basically that corner of America. But my goal was to get as many of these voices heard, because I really felt there were stories that people were missing currently. And whether it be through the Rail to Berm or Dale Holmes with his High Low podcast, they're all great people, but I was waiting to hear something that wasn't realistic. I had this expectation that they were going to talk more to East Coast riders, and whether it be from the mid school or present day, and that's not fair. That's not fair for me to put that on Rail to Berm or Dale Holmes. So I said, I'll just do it. I'll just try, and then. I guess a good asset of mine is that I don't quit very easily. So I just said, okay, I'm gonna try it. Like, I'm gonna do it my way and find a way to do it. And like I said, we started with Chelsea. Chelsea's actually from the Northeast, or I'm sorry, she at least has family in the Northeast. So I squeezed her in as a Upper East Coast guest.
Sure.
But from there, if you look at the different episodes, they're almost entirely New England and New York, and Pennsylvania, of course. They're almost entirely that until about a year in. I have a friend that works at Odyssey, Nuno Oliveira, and he's from Long Island, but his Odyssey and Sunday sponsor a bunch of guys from Texas and California, and they were all going to be at the Wheel Mill in Pittsburgh. So I had to bend my rules a little bit, and that's what I'm getting at with evolving, because these guys are from California or Texas, they're not from the East Coast, but an East Coaster that works in the industry set it up for me because he wanted me to interview these guys, and and it worked out really, really well. So I don't get too hung up on East Coast anymore, because I know that I'll get to those people that I really truly am interested in, because I therefore believe that I hope I've made that decision that would have other people interest or appreciate the interview of that person. So I let it flex a little bit. I didn't stay rigid, but it was mostly East Coast, and then it slowly transition. But going to interview Timmy Strzelecki, I mean, that was Chicago, but he's from Long Island, so I'm trying to get through all the real true East Coast connections, and I'm jumping around a little bit. But the point is if you have an opportunity to interview someone, even if it turns out not to be what you expected, it's worth a try.
Agreed.
So
right.
And I think being open about what direction it goes is pretty important. Otherwise we probably would have all quit this a lot earlier, or just quit, I should say. But it's the reason I really appreciate what you guys are doing. You're changing and adapting as you get further into it and decide, wow, you know what, I could talk to Harry Leary, or Bubba Hayes, or you've had a bunch of really good people on TJ Lavin when he came out with Gary Laurent, right? No, I'm sorry, Tracer Finn.
Tracer. Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing stuff. If I had said East Coast only and I were you, I would have not heard that podcast. And that podcast with Tracer and TJ was gold. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So anyway, I'm
You're good.
starting to drift, but
that's okay.
Hopefully that explains it.
That's how this whole thing goes.
We got Chris. You want to get your...
So who do you think was your biggest interview? Like who were you the most nervous to interview? Kind of going along the same lines of what we were just talking about.
Sure. No, I absolutely understand. It's kind of funny because when you have that 18-year gap, and you guys may have heard me talk about it on some of my podcasts, but having that gap makes me more of a learner than an interviewer in my mind. I'm there to learn. So it's not for everybody, because if you know a rider that well, and I will get to that person, by the way. But,
we won't let you forget.
Oh, no.
Tangent. Could you... Melissa, if you could just kind of keep notes of where I jumped off and reel me back in.
That's a producer's job, right?
Yeah, please.
You're fine. You come back on your own.
Believe me. But it's so anyway. Now I'm starting to lose it. I went off on that little tangent, but yeah, where the heck?
Biggest interview.
What's that?
Biggest interview.
Your biggest interview.
Biggest interview. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Garrett Burns was my biggest interview.
Damn.
I really believed in it.
Hell yeah, it would be.
The nervousness to do it, that's the part that you and I, or that you had asked me as well. Mm-hmm. The best part is I didn't know Garrett Burns. And that made it so that I wasn't nervous. I don't know who the guy is. I actually said in the beginning of that interview that I thought I was interviewing Garrett Reynolds, and he rolled right through that with the joke and just kept it going. And I knew that I was so happy that I had Garrett Burns in front of me, and not Garrett Reynolds. Not because there's anything wrong with Garrett Reynolds, because he made a joke of it right away. He just said that when he was first dating his girlfriend, she looked him up, of course, to see if he was a wanted felon or not. And,
right.
And she, I forget if she actually said this or not to him, or if it was something he pictured possibly happening. But her looking him up and finding out that, in his words, he was the watered down version of Garrett Reynolds. So anyway, he's a very humble guy, and he was my favorite interview. Or all of the above. He was the interview that changed the course of the podcast. It turned into more of a, and I know you guys have heard this, but the audience may not have. It was less about the BMX accomplishments than it was about real life. What do you have to do to be able to get out and ride? Or what did you have to do to get out of a funk and get on the bike? Or maybe you got on the bike to get out of a funk, like a seriously depressive kind of funk. So he was amazing. And as soon as I posted that, man, I'll tell you, the response was amazing. It was just crazy because he talked a lot of real talk, and for some reason, he chose to kind of let that all out with mine, which I can't tell you. I mean, that was almost 2 years ago, and I'm still so humbled by it. But he chose to let that part of his life, that story, play out on my podcast for everyone, so that people that are in that position would not feel alone. So again, did I know everything Garrett Burns did? Absolutely not. But I left it saying, holy cow, this guy's an amazing person. I don't know what the heck he did in BMX, and people were kind of, my close friends were laughing at me because they couldn't believe I didn't know, but I was like, I don't know.
I can't begin to tell you.
I like the guy,
Exactly. I cannot begin to tell you how much I can relate to what you just said because I don't know any of these people, and to hear these guys talk in the pre-show and the post-show, they're all excited and this and that. How do you not know who this is? And
Sure.
but it's fun to kind of watch them and step in and have to have a producer role. Like, come on, guys, let's go. Knock the goggles off your head. Let's go. But to enter in as a learner is a kind of an awesome place for me to be back here and just kind of taking it all in, and then also be able to kind of turn around and regurgitate a little bit of what I've learned the next podcast. Like, I know what kind of crank gear size, whatever you're talking about. I really don't, but I'm getting better at pretending. But thank you for sharing that.
You know your way around. You've learned for sure.
Just say
She is stuck in-
4316.
She is stuck driving us around and hears us talk about so many that it makes it so easy for her.
You know what's interesting? I have found BMX people as a whole, it literally is amazing how long you can discuss the same subject and nobody gets bored. Like, we go from gears to cranks to bikes to carbon fiber to
you want to go?
this pro and that. I'm like, oh my God, seriously? It's hour 4. What the hell are we still
She's
talking
most
about?
impressed with the fact that here's the thing she's most
Go ahead.
she's most impressed with is be like, yeah, when Chris raced or Jay left and he come back to the sport, he's the video guy. I'll be like, when Jay left, he used to race
Such and such bike.
a what?
Right.
What? Like what bike?
Yeah,
Standard,
he rode
Standard.
a standard, Nowadays he's racing a hyper. She's like, well, how long ago was it when he raced the standard? I'll be like, I don't know. Well, that was like, 5 or 8 years ago when Jay used to race, or just an example. But she's like, you guys literally timeline things by
It's
the
insane.
bikes or parts, or you'll be, like you said, was it Hawk frames?
Most Stillman.
Yeah, I'm like, man, Hawk, I remember seeing those because Shady Jason Lucius had one for a while.
I know that guy.
The farm boy.
The other thing is your coordination with your, like, what team you were on and what bike and what you did. Like,
That's
he
the
can look
other
at a
thing.
uniform and be like, oh, that was 80 blah, blah, blah. Like,
Well,
what?
if you kind of think about BMX, the bikes, it's all
It is
it's
the
like
tool.
It's
That's
like
like me putting a face to somebody. It's
Yeah,
like a bike to
but-
somebody.
it's also
Exactly.
like a fashion thing. Like, okay, back in the day, everybody had a 09 stadium plate, right?
Right.
That was like the cool thing to have. And then the next one that came along was, and I have them out of order, but the Haro flow panel something.
Oh, right.
And then everybody
Remote
had to have,
control or whatever.
right. Yeah. Or the CW bars with the solid bar across the top. There was always something that was the new hot thing to have. And, that's how, and it's still that way today. I mean, there's, what's the big name right
Box
now?
forks.
Box forks. Answer
Right.
dagger
In
forks.
racing.
Yeah. There's always something, right? I mean, there's
In
always.
freestyle right now, you got to have that 22-inch bike.
Is that the thing?
I don't know. Maybe football people sit around and do the same thing.
Yeah, they
and
do it
that's
by
quite
their
possible,
uniforms.
But I've never met a group with so much in common that can just go forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we men are simple, as you know. So our needs are simple.
Fair.
Our minds are simple. So yeah, I mean, honestly though, it's there's a lot to know. And Chris was mentioning names of products, and absolutely, those are. Who in the hell else would know besides Chris and I, and maybe Justin? But Justin's just a baby compared to me.
Whoa. I know mid
Thank
school.
you.
Chris is my old school guy, and Jason's the new school guy.
Yeah, we kind of, between the three of us, we got it covered.
We got it covered. And then Melissa's the
new guy.
Melissa's like, what are you idiots talking about?
But to answer Melissa's question, I mean, those type of things. We could talk forever about them, and we could talk forever about a particular rider. As a whole, it's not something that I think everyone needs to learn every bit. But I think just understanding the basic eras of BMX and when sanctions merged and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And when
It's like
when you talk about I guess you could say supercross races, and this is where I fall off, and I'll lean on you guys. Supercross. When did Supercross start with the 8 meter hill?
San Jose, California. It was in the parking lot of the hockey arena. That was the first Supercross race.
Yeah.
The only reason I know it was because I was offered an announcing gig at it, but couldn't get to California because of my employer.
Oh, okay.
That was it was
and that's what I love. Like I don't want to know every single thing about that event, but I'd love to know how it fits chronologically, because it's really cool to know what happened when I was not in it. So yeah, Melissa, you could pick up what you need, and I'm sure some things you realize you don't really need to know every
gear ratio. You don't need to know
there has been over the years. But
I also love how it speaks to the sport as a whole, and the fact that it just becomes a family event. Everything is just a family event, and we've had a lot of like recent changes in our sort of team circles, and lots of things have kind of come up, and it's just amazing to know that that's not changing a lot of these relationships outside of it, because we still have that common goal and that thing in common, that we're just, you're still family no matter what you're doing, and we're wishing everybody well. And that's why I love being a part of it, even though we were joking earlier. We were talking about what race we wanted to go to this morning, and this weekend, and Justin's looking at me and says, well, if you want to go, I'll go. And I said, sweetheart, I never wake up on a Saturday morning and say, I want to go to a BM race today. But because you do, I'm there with you. So you got to make the decision. But I still enjoy going and being a part of it no matter what. And the same thing goes with the show. So it's awesome to be able to share that.
I think it comes down to like the part when it's the knowing like, this is the guy, or they rode for this bike company. They had that frame. That's the outside of our little weird world. That's the Barry Sanders rushed for.
Sure.
I am going to get shit on right now because I am from Michigan and don't know this. But like,
if Chris knows that before you, you're rude.
I hope he made that up right now. But like,
I did. I have no idea, but I love watching that man run a football.
It's those things like outside of our sport. It's like, hey, Jimmy Johnson won this many. Whatever the cars that go around in a right-hand turn.
7
NASCAR things.
Championships.
Left-hand turn.
Left-hand turn. Sorry. So like, it's.
You're still going right-handed with your arm.
Wait,
You gotta go this way, left.
I'm going backwards for the viewers. But it's when you learn those things in those sports, like that's what it is for us. Like
that makes sense.
You know that so and so in golf won this many majors, and this and that. And for us, it's hey, Moses Tillman rode on a Hawk frame, and it's Randy Stumphauser won X thing on a Huffy frame, and so on and so forth for us, and that's where we put it in. But
that ties into that BMX is in your blood, right? Once it's in, it's not like it goes away. How many of you have been in the sport as young men and women and left and come back? Like, I feel like that's more of a common story than
put that in the chat.
Yeah, then kids are starting at 5 years old and now they're 50. Like that's not happening. Like life happens in between there, and I just think it's an awesome sport that it's so transitional over the years.
Yeah. And that's part of what we're seeing now. Just what you said. Kids, gals that raced when they were teenagers, now they're coming back and they're bringing their kids, and then the parents actually end up getting back. And that's what happened to myself. I ended up at the track one day with my daughters, and they're like, hey, this is pretty cool. Can we try it? And I went, sure, if you want to. And a couple weeks later, we were at Waterford Oaks with Disney Princess bikes, and they were checking it out.
You still have one.
I still have one.
His Disney Princess bike.
I don't have that.
I thought that's what you were still racing. But here's another thing. What sport can you think of that you still can hang out with people 30, 20, or 40 years later?
I can't
that you were doing the sport at those young ages.
Well, and plus, not only that, but where can you have grandchildren, children, and grandparents all taking part in the same
Exactly.
sport.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
you could
shout
all
out to
be,
the Swap family. They do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you could have 2, 3, 4 generations all racing.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
I agree.
Can we go to the chat for a second?
Melissa, please go to the chat.
So I have a couple of things to catch up on. So, Robert Cardoza is listening to us on YouTube, and he says to please tell Joe I really enjoyed listening to that podcast, and I believe he was talking about your first podcast with Chelsea.
Okay.
He happened to catch it at work one day and thought it was a great podcast on a really tough subject.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert.
Nick DeSanti, who most of us know as Skyway Nick, says
Absolutely,
what's up.
yeah.
He's excited he's watching us on the big
Or
TV
Sundance
today.
Nick.
Mustang Nick.
Mustang.
Mustang Nick.
09
Mustang, yeah.
baby, he says.
Oh, 09 Nick.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Let's see. Sean Kingsland, what up?
Hey, Sean.
I'm not sure why he wants to share Jeremy Ames. I think he should be careful what he asks for. And what else did I want to say? Oh, Marty, one of our ATV team racers, was wondering how familiar you are with any indoor tracks that might be open in Connecticut around Thanksgiving time.
Oh my Lord, none.
Yeah.
We have it tough. We used to have, over the years, we've never had an easy time finding an indoor track, or having an indoor track, I should say. We had one at the beginning of the Cape Cod in Massachusetts. That was called Wareham BMX. But other than that, we had one in Northampton, Massachusetts in the 80s. Those are the only two I've ever been to and know of. I don't think there have been any others in New England. So the only indoor option for us is Griffin BMX in Endicott, New York, which is near Binghamton.
Wow.
That's it. That's all we have for indoor, and it's we're grateful for that. But that's it.
That's a bummer. So your season is kind of a similar short race, hopefully
Yeah.
not in the snow or till the snow flies, kind of like ours is here.
Same. Very much the same thing.
Yeah.
Very much same thing. The place I normally go on Wednesdays, which I told Justin about, it being rained out tonight was, it was fortunate because now I it all. I don't feel
All
like I
things
missed
happen for a
anything.
reason.
Yeah, it worked out great for us.
The vibe there is so good. I can't explain it. It's just it's so good that it's really exciting to go. But we started so late. We started the first week in July racing. So the season's about to end. We're supposed to have our state championship not this weekend, but the following
Damn
weekend.
COVID. Yeah.
And the season's done. And
Aw.
poor Bethel has had, I want to say it 5 out of 8 races have been rained out.
Oh,
we've only had
that
3,
hurts.
or I might be off by one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I've raced 3 and there's been 4. So we've had 4 out of 8. So 50% of the races have been rained out. And
My goodness.
I still feel like it's June because we usually start the 1st of May.
Right.
So we're almost done. They'll have some of them will have a fall series if if the restrictions are allowed. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Wow.
Screaming Neiman says, "What's up, goons?" Actually, he says, "Hey, you goons," to be specific.
Oh, thanks.
And Robert wanted to remind us that Grands is on Thanksgiving, so we should all be headed in that direction.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah,
You making that trip?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was someone saying something?
Are you making that trip out to the Grands?
No, I we talked about my son on a BMX bike. He had never been to a race before. This is a real quick funny story. He'd never been to the Grands before, but I was in my first year back. I was already in fundraising mode, which is a whole nother story. But I decided to continue the jam that we had that year for a guy named John Lee. He got hurt at Ray's a bit ago, and anyhow, I had this bright idea that we were going to raise money by racing the side hack. We had a side hack built, and I don't know how I got my son to do this because it was torture to have a teenager have to go with me and Matt Sylvia. Do you know Matt Sylvia at all? He races Vet Pro.
I remember. Oh,
I know
yes.
the name.
He's I think
He's from Connecticut, but he's in Carolina, and now he's back in
I
Connecticut.
think he's the one you were talking to in South Carolina when we went last.
Yeah.
National.
Did he reclass the X?
I hope he did
Because I think I raced him.
that is brutal. So I hope he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I raced him down at South Carolina.
Awesome. I mean, that's really good to hear. He's a really good guy. So we carpooled because when you're going to race a side hack, you can't just fly down there and race a side hack. You have to drive and whatever. So my son actually, I had this idea that we had jerseys made and we had the full DDR uniform, which is the team that I had back in mid-school era. So we drove down with Matt in my truck. We just kept switching driving, and Matt's amazing. He could drive all night without the conversation with Justin. He could drive all night. So we got all the way down there. He raced his motos on Friday. And then the side hack race was on, what is it, Friday night at the Pro Spectacular, I think?
Yeah, for folks who are listening and watching that don't know what a side hack is, just Google BMX side hack.
Jason will put it up there if you ask him nicely, Chris.
Okay.
I'm just go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So it was a lot to ask of a, let's see, at that time he was a 15, he may have been 15 or 14, 15, I think. I think he still hates me for it, but it's, so his first race ever was not even on his own bike. It was being the monkey, which is the guy that's not pedaling on the side hack.
I didn't realize they were called the monkey.
His first race ever was the Grands on the side hack. And that was his last race ever too. So, but it was, I mean, you can't replace those memories. It was, no matter what, and it was a great time. And I know deep inside he loved riding next to me. You know, of course he did. I mean, you know, you better say that anyway.
Right.
Oh, there you go, Saturday. It was this year exactly, the one that you have up, the Saturday Night Side Hack Showdown. That was the year that we first that we did it. But it was just a lot of fun. But so we were talking about, Matt Sylvia and how do we get on that one? How did I get on that one?
We were talking about the Grands. We were talking about the Grands and whether or not you were attending.
Oh, yeah. I think that was my one and done. Unfortunately, it's just, I did so many nationals up until I was 27, almost 28. I kind of, and I don't necessarily like this saying, been there, done that, but I really have been fortunate enough to been to a lot of nationals and a lot of Grands, but they were all on the NBL side. So we had our final on Labor Day weekend and Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, that's really hard for me to wrap my head around.
It is a tough time.
It is.
Yeah,
for sure.
Unless your whole family is involved. If that's the case, that's fantastic. But if your whole family's not involved, you're really trying to accomplish a lot within yourself as far as family and your own desires of what you want to do. So that's my only thing holding me back really from going to the Grands again. Aside from, like I said, I've been to a lot of races, so it's not,
what is your home track?
My home track is actually, they race on Sundays, and it's a track that my friends and I actually opened in '95. So two of my close friends at the time back then, because they've moved, it was 25 years ago. So we one of my friends moved to Florida that helped start the track, and the other one's still in Connecticut. But it was Greg Plaskett, Tom Johnson, who currently still races a lot. You probably see him at the races, and myself, along with two adults that knew what they were doing, which was helpful because we were 23 at the time. It was a 2-year process to get approved and built. and this is a very long way around my home track. I'll always call Foothills BMX my home track because we did build it together. We all got it going together. I was the track director for the first year, maybe two. I think I don't know which it was, but I know I was out of it pretty quickly because I really just wanted to get the track going. I understood once I got into it how much it takes to keep all that background going to make it possible for kids to race. So that is my home track. It's about 15 minutes from where I live today still. I go there and ride once a week usually. But the Sunday daytime thing it's tough. As you get older, you kind of want one day with the family when nobody has plans, and really dedicate that time to family. So unfortunately, I was going there when I got back into it. I was going there every Sunday, but things changed a bit, and I think Melissa and I talked about this a little bit. Melissa, I don't know if we're going to hold this off for another time or now, but
absolutely.
Life change happened with my wife. So,
yes. Let's go for
really
it.
Pulled me off of the Sundays.
Yeah, so we had briefly touched on that, and actually this is kind of it's a pretty prominent conversation for all of our BMX family over here too. We recently had a very close buddy, Ron McDonald, announced that he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So we've got a whole bunch of fundraisers and things like that were coming up, but we know you're big into charity fundraising, and that was one of the questions I think we had coming up too. But so I was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2012, and so I will be an 8-year survivor this coming Halloween. So, and I feel like I share that in common with your wife. Is that
very much so? And congratulations on fighting it hard and being 8 years clear. That's such a huge deal.
It is.
She's 5 years clear right now.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
It's of course for you primarily, as the person that's going through it, it's great. It's life changing, and you can let it change. I mean, I'm not the one that had to deal with it, as the actual person with cancer, but it's a terrible disease. Should we call it a disease? I'm not even sure what.
It's an evil is what it is.
Yeah, she had the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was not in her lymph nodes.
I was blessed
so
that way as well.
It was good early detection. I hope yours was as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was racing a lot that year, and when you're a BMXer, it's addicting to go to races. But I pulled back big time. I planned it around when her surgery was, and then I pulled back. And I let the people, my friends, know at the races that I was going to be gone for a couple weeks, and did not go back until I knew that I could leave for a couple hours and go to Foothills, say. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad you brought up Ron McDonald, because as soon as I saw his post, my gears started turning.
That you are joining a club right there.
yeah, and I want to be in this club, so please let me be in this club. But I can't say I want to ask you this privately because we're live. But my feeling is I would love to podcast interview Ron McDonald at any point. I'll fly out there. I'll do it.
Wow.
And let him talk about his BMX experience and just really have a conversation. And I mean, this is very fresh. It's a little soon for that possibly, but I want to throw it out there. And it hurt to read that. And I'm sure he's got to be having a heck of a time with it. But if there's anything I could do, maybe it would bring his spirits up if we had a fun BMX conversation that the whole world can hear.
Oh, I
you
think he
know.
might like that.
He'd love it.
Yeah.
I talked to him today. He's going to be
Hopefully.
hopefully he's going to be on next week, but we've got meaning next Wednesday's show is the Ron McDonald show. Little different format. I don't mean to steal your thunder, Chris, for the news, but little different format.
Go for it. Go for it.
We're going to try to make it kind of like the after show that we do. Well, it's not really an after
Yeah,
show.
most people aren't going to have any idea what you're talking
No,
about.
I know.
so-
Right.
So anyway, like after the show's done, we always put up a link. You can come in, you can talk to the guests, and it's just whatever, just people hanging out talking. But we're gonna try to do that in a tailored way. But
Yeah.
that aside, look. You got a place to stay, Joe. If you come up here to Michigan, I got Melissa and I will make sure that you're gonna get wherever you got to go to help Joe. Joe lives over in, I'm sorry, Ron lives over in Battle Creek,
On
and
the west side.
so we'll make sure that whatever has to happen. So the 12th, we've got his fundraiser out at the track.
Lansing. And,
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that can happen or not, but again, a lot of it has to depend on how he's feeling, but that would be awesome, man. And you have any resource this show,
Yeah.
you've got any resource that we can offer, so you've got a place to stay. If you got to fly in, look, what's Chris's butler's name? Pendleton. Pendleton will make sure that he picks you up in the Bugatti that Chris has. He doesn't really
now I
have
got
one.
one of them, too.
You got a Bugatti now, but anyway, we'll make sure that you have transportation. You have you're fed. You're drove. Whatever has to happen, we'll make sure that happens, man. Because that's awesome, and
Yeah. If we can help, we will.
that's ultimately what the what this family is about. And I'll tell you, like, it's gonna be a cool show next week with some pretty heavy hitters that are gonna come in, and everybody's welcome. So it'll be a good time. And look, if Ron can't make it, all the more reason for more people to chime in next week.
Right. For sure.
I love it. I'm glad you guys are on it. I think that with this situation, I've always been a believer in oral history projects, and I really think that it would be nice to preserve a conversation that will continue on in the minds of, in the memories of his family as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time even speaking that way about it because I don't want to talk about it like that. But it does sound pretty serious, and
well, any cancer survivor will tell you that at any point in time, it's always on your mind. So there's really nothing wrong that you can say. I think the more that anybody speaks to it from their heart and just try to be real, and then I think as a cancer survivor myself, I respect and I understand that it's awkward for other people too. They don't know what to say. They want to help. They want to do whatever they can, and sometimes not saying anything at all can actually be the best thing. But I don't want anybody to hesitate, especially next week too, to call in and say what you're feeling, because I'm sure that that Ron will be happy to hear anything.
Yeah, that's actually what he said today.
Was it? Oh, good.
Because he had to make another trip to the hospital, but he was like, "Hey, just make it happen. I want to hear about it, and I want to hear." And he goes, "Look, if I can get in that chat room and shit talk, I will." And I'm like, "Man, that's what we're talking about,
Right.
Get in there
Ron
and make
said that?
Yeah.
in so
Oh
many
my
words."
gosh. I gotta talk to him. He
So-
sounds like a firecracker.
Oh, he's a good
fireball.
dude.
He's a
Great man.
really,
So
really
I
good
must
dude.
share, because I think this is on everybody's tongue. Harry Larry just said cancer sucks.
Oh, cancer, God.
He what? I'm sorry.
Harry Larry says cancer sucks.
I don't think you'll find anybody to argue with that.
No.
No.
Yeah, absolutely,
No
it
way.
absolutely does. And back to what we were talking about, between yourself and my wife, thank goodness there there are ways to, for some forms of cancer, to be able to have early detection and not put yourself in a situation where it could be really horrible.
Right.
Ron's situation, I'm sure, as you all know, that's not something that's hardly detectable.
It's
I don't know.
very difficult to detect, which is why it's often very progressive by the time it's found.
Exactly, and that's Oh, and by the way, if I'm going to do something like this, it's going to involve a fundraiser too. So, so it would be nice to know. You know what? I'm going to hold that part of the conversation for afterwards.
Yeah, we'll talk more.
For sure.
We'll work out the details off the show.
We don't need to plan a lot now. It would be it's a bittersweet time, but it would be nice to come out and hang out and do something nice for Ron and record his story, and
maybe at Waterford Oaks.
It's as much for his family than anyone else. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
We'll bring you to Waterford Oaks. We'll bring Ron there, and we'll have a whole jam there.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah, I'll just borrow
Make it
someone's bike. I won't even pack mine.
I got a whole bunch of them.
You did?
Yeah.
I mean,
We know people, Joe. We
allegedly.
know people.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Are these bikes that were supposed to be raffled that never got raffled?
No, I'm just.
No,
I got
no.
I got a.
Okay.
I got a cruiser. I got a 20-inch. I got a.
So you get two.
I got the General Lee that Jason straightened the rims on that I blew up when I was too chicken shit to go talk to you down at Ray's. Because I decided like 5 minutes into being at Ray's and seeing like you and Stu, I was like, I'm gonna go do a 360.
Oh.
And when you're 42 throwing 360s, sometimes they don't always line up straight. So
No,
those
that's not a playground with rubber landings. It's it's a real deal.
It's a real deal, and they got bent and they got blown up, and then we trued them as best we could. We put inner tubes. God, I spent more time working on my goddamn bike that day than I did riding. Anyway, it was a great time. Because
more time wrenching than riding.
It was 4 tires. It was 4 tires on one rim just so we could ride.
My God.
Yeah, and it was great.
Rubbing every
I was and finally we found one that fit, and I'm like, F it, man. We're going. But I'm gonna ride by Joe in his little booth. I'm gonna look at him and be like, nope, not going over there.
Oh
And the best was, it was before. Wasn't it before?
Understand.
It was before we did it, right? Wasn't it before the show?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
It was
because
a couple weeks before we.
yeah,
had
it was
our
before we were gonna
inaugural.
launch it. I'm like, I gotta talk to this guy because this dude.
This dude's
doing it. This guy's
This,
doing
no,
it.
no. This guy I'm pointing at, he keeps coming up to me, and I'm like, this son of a bitch was too scared to talk on a microphone at Waterford Oaks and be like, attention riders. Practice is going to end in 15 minutes. He can't even do that. And
I can
then
do
the sudden
that
thing,
now.
he's like,
Now.
and he's like, and he can't do that then. And he's like, hey man, let's do this podcast. I'm like, what?
Isn't it awesome though? I love
It's
that about
amazing.
it. It's like this is
No
great.
one-
It's so much fun.
Nobody would get the dynamic, and like Paul adds to it. Jason those are the behind the scenes guys. So like Jason adds to it, Paul adds to it. It's like it's amazing because one, we can cover like all the spectrums of the timeline of BMX, and Jason and I can dabble kind of over from the mid school to now school of the freestyle side, believe it or not, and we can cover that. So we do. But then like when the BMX timeline comes along, we got it covered. But I'm like, I was telling people, I'm like, this Chris guy keeps talking that he wants to do his goddamn podcast with me, and they're like, who? I'm like, Chris Beer wants to do the podcast with me. They're like, what? And then here we are.
Is that that guy from Waterford Oaks?
Yeah.
Is that guy?
Here we are. And then the funny thing is, he's that way, and I'm like, here I am at Ray's. I'm like, we're going to do a podcast, but I can't go talk to this guy who I listen to his show. And I'd ride by, and there'd be somebody talking to you.
Yeah.
I'd ride by, there'd be somebody talking. I'm like, No, I don't want to
That
go
was
in.
the same guy who would leave.
He wouldn't leave. He did not leave, man. And I even told Melissa, I'm like, I don't know if this guy keeps talking. It must be a really good interview. I'm not real sure. He's been up there for like 9 hours.
He says no.
Like 9 hours.
Joe's
He's been
like,
up there
no,
9
it
hours,
wasn't.
man.
You could have bailed me out. You could have actually been like that phone call that I had to
Oh,
take.
dude.
You know,
I totally would now.
Hindsight.
Because I remember
2020.
like riding by, seeing his bike laying there. I'm like, I'm gonna kick his bike. Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with you? Stop getting so angry. Like, kick his bike, and that way you can get over there and talk to him. I was like, no,
Oh,
I can't
man.
do that.
I mean,
You
you know
guys
what?
are funny.
It's almost a better story the way it played out.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you were chicken shit and you didn't reach me. So because
all right.
this today wouldn't be the story it is today if it weren't for that.
That's
So,
true. It makes the story, right?
I feel
So
like
you're-
everybody on here has
you're here
maybe
with that,
had a
right?
little
So,
starstruck
I like
moment.
it. But
Oh,
by the way,
definitely.
real quickly, I know I said this before, but it's worth repeating that the dynamics between the three of you are really, really great. I mean,
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yes,
We
thank you
appreciate
so
very much.
important to have a guy like Chris, who obviously is a complete polar opposite of you, Justin. I mean, he's got
Yes,
everything
and-
and you've got nothing.
No. No, you're right. He's got helicopters and
and then
Bugattis.
Melissa just sits there and laughs at both of them.
Dude, come on, man.
So it's- you guys are just amazing people. So I really enjoy
Thank
the
you.
dynamics, and
I think
I
we
just love
echo
it.
that
It's really-
back.
No,
it's
Yeah, for sure.
It's really refreshing. I mean, I'm a one-man show. I don't get to witness this that much. So
yeah, but you're a great show. Like, I told. Here's the thing. After our 4.5 hour, 9 hour conversation, I was saying like
Yeah.
this guy does. He does everything with an effing iPhone, and he sits there and he does this whole thing.
yeah.
And I'll send you a picture after the show's done of like where we're setting
What we
forward.
got- what we
And it's
got going on over
this
here.
shit looks like NASA space station. Okay, there's a screen here. Then there's Jason with a computer over there, the computer here and here, and it's like, and then you go and you interview.
There's literally seven screens.
Yeah, there's
seven
seven
screens going on in
screens
here.
in this studio right now.
If there's a fire, you guys
We're
would die.
oh,
You'd be able to
dude.
get out.
No, there's a sliding door to
Yeah,
my
there's a
left.
door.
We're good.
We got a door right here.
I mean, I'm going to make sure I grab anything Apple on it because no insurance company wants to pay for that. But like, I'm thinking this guy, you go and I remember that part of your interview with Chelsea. You were talking and I could hear in the background. I'm like, oh, that's Profile Elite Hub. That is a profile. That is a Profile Elite Hub. And I
got
was
the
like,
unique-
and I was like, man, all this noise in the background and the women's weekend, right? And I'd hear like, noise,
Cackling.
people. No. I'd hear like the jumping and the noise and
Brakes squeaking and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
duck noise, that's noise and shit. Like those are the things I can remember from them. And I was like, all of that means nothing when you listen to your podcast because the content is the best part of that show, like the absolute best part. And I was like, I'll be honest, I'll be like, we might not have the best content, but we'll polish this shit up. Luckily for us, we ended up with really good content because of Chris, Melissa, and myself, and Jason, and Paul, like coming in and helping with it. But I was like, I'm not 100% sure we're going to be on that level where Joe is at first.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've tripped and fell and managed to be genuine and honest, and it portrayed out to what we do, and it helped. But it still goes back. I'm like, man, those are the best parts of your podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, but you know how boring it would be if all of us had the same exact.
Agreed.
Oh, Jesus.
Certainly.
You want to know how
Yeah.
boring it would be? Sitting in a truck with 3 other people that are doing nothing but talking about BMX while you're driving to race. That's how boring it would be.
Exactly. That's how it would be for everyone listening. It'd
And
be,
I
"Oh my
have
God,
multiple
that's a podcast."
experiences.
Yeah. So there's only one other person I know that's doing it similar to me, and he's a guy up in Canada, and I just started listening to his. Oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. Hold on.
Is it the guy, the two guys?
I want to say he's near Montreal.
Oh, is it the coffee chatter?
No, not. That's straight up
Tory and
pro snobbery.
Pro snobberyism.
Yeah.
Come on, man. They start their show with Nickelback.
You know what? I do
I'm not
listen
going
to
there.
that one. I think
I have not missed an episode.
No, they do good.
But
It's
like
good stuff.
But I
having
like
everyone
Nickelback.
Different is really important. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Hold on one second.
Not Space
Well,
Brothers.
I
don't wanna
gotta
start
say
all
that
this guy now.
it's
He's worked
cool.
Really hard on it.
It's cool to
so-
talk to people that do something similar to what we do, like yourself, because we kind of there's not a lot of people doing it, and it's fun to talk.
Jesus,
Just talk,
Cash Matthews the other day says, "I didn't even know we had a BMX show." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "He's the host of the Hall of Fame thing."
Oh,
And I
yeah.
said, "Huh?" He goes, "I didn't even know there was a BMX live show." And I
Really?
sat here and I said, "Is there?" Well, there's
Were
there's
you-
the Houston. Remember the Houston show? You know?
With Rusty Dial.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, there's that show," but I was like,
Oh, okay.
Chris Allen.
I
and
didn't
then there's
even know
Chris
about
Allen.
that.
But I was like, wait,
Yeah, Chris
well,
Allen.
then there's a different thing because like the show in
Oh,
his
yeah.
mind, because I looked through what he was thinking, like there's production value here. I know it's hard to believe, but there is production value. And it's not even just 15 minutes before we go on the air, which is most shows, but
No,
there's a
it's-
production value in all these things. And I'm like,
It's a days of
I was like, wow,
work from
that was a
Justin.
in a weird way. I was like, that's a pretty nice compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go watch our stuff.
Right, yeah.
Because
And
Cash
I
says
think-
to.
Yeah.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said because Cash says to.
Well, he's another one we need to
He'll be on soon.
tackle.
I don't want to
him in
give
here.
any hints away, but he'll be
Okay.
on. He'll be on within 7 days.
Oh,
Within
I
7
thought you said
days.
he'd be
Shane.
out soon. I was like, what is he going to be
Within
on
7
parole or what's going on?
No, on, not out.
No.
Good. The Goat Cave is the name of this other one.
Oh, I just,
Okay.
It's a
I just saw
long-form
that.
interview.
Go
Um,
Cave.
I think the guy's in his mid to late 20s. He's interviewing a lot of the same people I have, but it's cool because everyone has their own perspective.
Sure.
But anyway, my point is there aren't many people that do it the same way, and I think that's important that people just give it a shot and do it in their own way and in the way that they feel. Like, stick with your gut and do it the way you want to do it, not the way
Sure.
you think a certain person might want you to do it. You
Yeah.
know, you have to trust yourself. I mean, I've tried to do that, and sometimes it's hard. I mean, there's been some not so great moments through the podcast, through the podcast years of BMX in Our Blood. And,
You've had one. We all know it.
oh, Vic Ben? I can say it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a deeper story that
That's like a part 2.
that Chris and I can talk about first before I talk about with you.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
it was pretty intense, but I mean, hey,
it was an epic
you know,
story.
It's if something like that didn't happen, I never. I don't know. I try to look at it that way. If it didn't happen, I wouldn't have grown from that experience.
You got to
And,
have the bad to respect the
Exactly.
good.
yeah.
That's a good way.
And
to
it was
put
a rough
yeah.
time, but what are you going to do? I mean, it's you can't. You know what? That's the moment when I realized I can't interview people because I have you can't interview someone with an ulterior motive. And I absolutely had an ulterior motive, and it didn't play out that way. And I'll tell you what's a little bit. I hate to say this, but it's a little disheartening. Is that podcast ended up? It's definitely in the top 10, which means there's over 4,000 downloads, maybe 5,000.
Yeah, we'll need like 10 years for one of our.
And
Yeah.
well,
Except for
well,
yours. I
don't
mean, yours
ever-
is instantly going to be
don't
there.
Don't look at the analytics, please. Never look at stats.
No.
But you know what I mean. It speaks to the whole
It does.
rubbernecking for the car crash. You know what I mean?
It's so true.
Which is great for Colt, who is a friend of mine. But I guess I can leave it at that. You guys can piece it together from there. But
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They can
of course
go
he's a talented
download your
writer,
podcast.
And, I make sure I always tell people, I'm like, I knowingly put myself in a situation, and that's something I have to deal with. So it was a learning experience. You know, we'll leave it at that. But it's again, you don't know unless it. Sometimes, for me anyway, you don't know until you go through it.
Yeah.
So it's but it made me very aware. I took a month off. Here's the plus side in my mind about it. I took a month off, and I had been publishing every week. And I'll try to make this quick because I think it's getting late for you guys for the length of the podcast, but for the interview. But I took a month off, and then I started back up with John Lee from FBM, and that was, oh my gosh, that was of course, I told you how I make men cry. That was another, grown man crying episode. So and the reason was, it was tears of joy. He loves his sisters so much for everything they've done for him while he was injured, and they just took care of him. And I swear most of what I do is by pure luck. And
Same here.
Who knows what? But that reset me. I mean, it really did reset me, and that was important. If that didn't happen, then I could have gone the easy route and said, I'm done with this stuff. It's not for me. So anyway, I'll let that go with that.
So can we, before we go to Jeremy Ames' voicemail, be like, after this interview, take a month off?
You probably should, yeah.
Well, maybe after
we're gonna go out like Michael Jordan for a month.
Yeah.
So
after we talked with Ron,
you wanted to put in, go for it. It's,
well,
maybe after we talk to Ron.
Too much
well, yeah, we got to go. We have to talk to Ron, then we can take a month off. But we do have to do our Jeremy Ames voicemail.
Sure.
Oh boy.
So this character.
Here we go.
I promise I'm not gonna give him your phone number, Joe. So he
That's
can
the
just.
guy?
Yes, the guy.
I'm a little
that's
frightened.
right. Joe
That's
doesn't
him,
see
man.
because Joe listens to the podcast.
Oh, that's
version.
right. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
There
Jeremy.
he is. He.
Whoa. I'm trying to think of who he looks like, but it's not a person; it's an animal.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a mixture. If Sonic the Hedgehog raped Mario, but it happened in a Street Fighter game or Street Fighter game.
Oh my
Street Fighter.
Yeah, like right after the Hadouken, and like boom, Sonic showed up and Mario showed up. There came Jeremy.
Here's
That's
Jeremy.
great.
I'm not real sure.
He was in the chat earlier.
Yeah, he was. He was.
He's probably busy
so,
now.
Here is this week's Jeremy Ames voicemail.
Hey, Justin. Yo, Big D. Big Damon Tucson here. You might call down in the Detroit and know me as DJ Squirrely Pants. Hey, listen, man. Just calling to tell you I ride a Truth BMX. I don't know if I told you that before, but I do ride a Truth. I'm big time with the Truth. You know, you can catch me out there on my Truth, or you can see me DJing. I go down to Nick's Tap Room, you know, down to the scoreboard. You can get me on the live stream, just sitting there scratching records. You know, out there in the K-Swiss, but I ride in the Truth. I don't know if I told you that. But the real reason I called was my man Jeremy Ames just got a Truth. And we've been watching him. He's been putting in the work, behind the scenes work. Going to work all day, serving people soup and fattening them up with breadsticks. Hanging out there doing Verizon group calls, trying to sell answering machines to shoe stores. So what we're going to do, we decided to reward him. We're going to give him a Truth Titanium Pro on the house. That's right, Jeremy. If you're listening, give me a call and we'll set that up for you. You know, you deserve it. Be out there on that bike. We'll ride those Truths together. I do ride a Truth, by the way. So catch me out there on the track, fools. See ya.
Oh my!
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
He I don't work at Verizon anymore, Jeremy. But first of all, that's like the probably the best voicemail ever.
I hope Damon was on and heard that because
He's in the chat already.
Is Damon in there? Oh, awesome.
He literally chimed in right before we went to the.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Great.
I'm dying. Because all those bars he named off is where Damon DJs at.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, that segment has to stay. By the
free
way,
advertisement.
That can't stop.
God,
Keep that
it's
segment.
it was great because when we started the whole show, like I mean, he was on episode
one, yeah.
I'm like, you sure you want to do this, dude? You got to do it like all the time. He's like, hey man, you know me. I'm like, okay, here we go. And 36 episodes later.
35.
Missed one. You missed that one.
He only missed one, which it's excusable, but like he's still banging out the content. Good for him.
Oh my god.
Look at Damon just was commenting, hell yeah, man, hell yeah. Oh my god. Now, what's funny about that is if you follow Damon, like Damon is the hardest working Truth, probably 1099 employee, because I know he's not getting a check from Eric. But yeah, he works hard and he's promoting them all the time. Yeah. Hey, if you get that, Jay, if you get that
titanium frame,
you are fully released from your contract at All Things BMX, but you still have to produce every week for the voicemail.
Yeah, yeah, you got to do the voicemails. Oh my gosh,
man! We're gonna talk about a way to derail a show right there. Great voicemail, Jeremy. Good job. Great work.
It's a must-have. It's got to be there.
Always. Now we.
Awesome.
What are you gonna say, Jay? What's that?
No, it was just funny as could be. I
mean, Damon was here a couple weeks ago DJing for us too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, for the birthday show, man. That was great.
Yeah. No, Damon's a really good guy.
Yeah. Shout out to Damon, Truth. You don't know if you know this or not, but Damon does ride a Truth.
And that is the truth.
It is the truth.
I didn't realize that.
I mean, he rides a Truth. I don't know if you know.
Right.
We're going to slide into our news, rumors, and gossip section now.
Here we go.
And we always love crowd participation and guest participation.
All right.
All right. Welcome to News, Rumors, and Gossip here on the All Things BMX show. Sponsored by our good friends at Nate's Painting. So if you have any news, rumors, or gossip, please contact us through our email at allthingsbmxshow@gmail.com. If you have anything going on at your track you want to share with us, any track, doesn't have to be Michigan-based by any means, let us know. We'd love to talk about it. We'll spread the word for you. If you got a charity going on, anything, let us know. Double points race, we got it covered. And as we talked earlier in the show, next week's guest is Ron McDonald, so we will have him on. Hopefully everything works out with scheduling so that happens. And you want to take this part, Justin?
Which one? The fundraising part?
Yeah. Or do you want me to keep going?
So what we're going to do is we've got a big, our next bit of news is the Big Mac fundraiser. And this is going to happen down at, actually go to the next one above that one. There you go. Okay. Yep. And this is going to happen over at our friend's track there in Lansing. This is at Capital City Family BMX. You're good right now. We've got a big fundraiser happening over there for him. And what we're going to do is we've got multiple things happening at that race. So what we have is we've got a team race challenge. So bring your team. Show up or show out. Hopefully you can show up and show out at the same time with your team. We're going to do a money race, or, well, not a money race. We're going to do an open race because we don't want to call them money races anymore. But we're going to give the funds raised to Ron's GoFundMe page that he has. So we've got, and there's, I could go on and on and on. We've got
Hey, I've got an idea. This
No,
just popped in my head.
It's the Steve's wife, Amy. Her sister. She makes all these really cool things.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be there for sale. Proceeds go to Ron. There's going to be Gate 9 has a number plate that's being made right now. You can buy
A special number plate.
a very special number plate that you can get, and all the proceeds go to that. And again, we got the team challenge. So put your team together, enter. Your entry fee just goes to, the GoFundMe page, and there's going to be some cool trophies for that. So
Well,
All
and
kinds of crazy.
Capital City Family BMX was selling T-shirts there for a while, so I know there was a
yeah.
pre-order. I'm not sure what the situation's going to be, if they're going to have some at the race for purchase or. But just check out their Facebook page.
yes, because it's all on there. So make sure you visit the Capital City Family BMX page. It's changing literally by the day.
Yeah, there's
That's
something
usually
different
how
all
these
the time.
things evolve.
It does.
But yeah, I just had a thought. I'm looking up there at the screen. He's got the yellow and the red McDonald's, obviously. If you can, everybody should wear yellow or red when they go out to the race.
I like that idea.
Oh, that's a great idea, Chris.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
if you can, if
How much is it going to cost to get a tattoo on you, Chris?
oh, that ain't happening.
Come on, dude.
Chris,
I got to.
don't do-
Chris, I
I
got
don't-
one during a podcast, so I think, and that was my only,
No,
first and
I'm-
only. So
I'm-
you
I
I'm
probably-
have
not
one
a-
coming up in 3 weeks.
Bro, what if we could
I'm
get
not a tattoo
What if we could get a
person. That's not
tattoo
my deal.
next Wednesday here on the show?
No. No.
Yes.
No.
There's no way you won't do it.
No.
What if we all do it?
Arches.
No, I can't.
What if I get the
That's
arches,
not
Jay
my
gets the
deal.
arches, Melissa gets the arches for Ron,
No.
No.
I mean, Ron, love you, but no.
No.
or something? Nothing? No.
No.
No?
Ron, you're a great guy, and
No offense.
I'm not. I can't do that. That's not my deal.
The pastor would agree.
I have many of tattoos that I look at now, and I'm grateful that I have them, but I often am like, oh, Jesus.
Right.
Thank God.
Yeah. No.
So-
no disrespect.
Somebody has to get a
but-
tattoo at that fundraiser. What do you think?
Well, that's fine with me. Somebody can do it, but it ain't going to be myself.
Okay, good. You can put the money up for it then. Walked you into that one, buddy.
No, I'm not really sure how that worked.
I will be out of town.
So our
Actually, I will
That
be
is a
too.
tough weekend.
are you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be on vacation.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone.
Our next little bit of news is our.
Oh, hey, real quick though, let's hit the registration on Saturday for Saturday the 12th of September. Registration's from 4 to 5:30. Class is 12. Class and cruiser it's $12. Balance bikes $5, and then local open $5 donation. All money goes to the family, so everybody should try to ride open class on that. And then, like Justin said, team challenge and more is getting added all the time.
Yeah, like
so,
the Gate 9 number plate that they made for him, and
yeah.
there's T-shirts, the Gate 9. There's all kinds of stuff that just it's getting added quicker, and we can put it in the show.
Neiman says he'll get the McDonald's hamburger if Chris takes him for a helicopter ride.
Oh man.
That's great. I mean, get your helicopter out, Chris. Our next bit of news is the All Things BMX show, and hopefully we won't have to be plugging this much longer because,
Yeah, let's hope not.
well, the CDC and whatnot. But hey, Chris, let him know.
All right, so folks, make sure you get your All Things BMX show face mask, sponsored by our pal T-Bone. So it's a T-Bone / All Things BMX show mask. If you want to help support the show, they are $12, and we will ship them to you. The $12 includes the shipping, so $12 each. Or if you see us out and about at the races or wherever, $10.
And we're going to be where? Saturday?
This Saturday?
Fort Wayne.
Are you going
Wait,
Fort
we are?
Wayne? Fort to
Did
Port?
we decide that yet? I don't know that we decided that yet.
It's
I did not wake up
it's
on Saturday
foreshadowing.
morning. Yeah, I don't
it's
know.
foreshadowing
You're
for a
driving
future
yourself.
event. So the next
Chauffeur's closed that day. She's on strike.
so if you see us at a race, you can get your mask.
Please
for $10.
come by, say hi.
Buy a mask. You got to have them now.
Get your mask for sure.
Yep. And the next little thing we have here is, is Paul still here? Is he?
Yeah,
Paul?
he's here. He's
All right,
with us.
let's unmute him.
Paul.
Paul, bring him in. Let him tell us about the I-69 Triple Challenge.
Yeah, that's what it is. Can you hear me?
No,
Yes.
We gotta see your video
No.
too.
we have to unvideo you.
All right.
Oh
Yeah, I'm
God.
on my couch, dude.
Laughing along.
You are just if you go to the guest video on there and turn off the main camera, it'll show him just only. Look at
Well,
that! Look at that
laying down
glorious
when you get
guy!
the Christmas darling, so I'll lay down.
All right, hey, tell us all about this.
About the Michigan Mega Bowl.
No, I-69
Yes,
Triple
I
Challenge.
like the Michigan Mega Bowl way better. Shout out to the Will Ferrell reference. Love you, buddy.
Yeah. So anyhow, we're doing that triple track challenge. That's just going to be, I guess it's Port Huron, Capital City Family, and then Richfield Park on Sunday. So that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we got a pretty cool little trophy if you do all 3 races.
Somebody told me that the trophy was constructed at.
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got one, that would be awesome.
You saw
So-
it here first.
So
saw it
this
here
is going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this coming Labor Day weekend. It's the I-69 Triple Challenge because that's
east to west from Michigan.
Oh,
Right.
that is so cool, Paul. That turned out
You need to see
great.
the whole thing.
Yeah. So it's a ribbon hanger.
Yes. Obviously, the big plywood in the back is my display board.
Yeah.
So, that's what we made, just a little ribbon hanger. So
that's
it works
really
out.
cool.
And it was very last minute.
Well, what
we
a
wanted
great
to do a
idea.
little bit better job, but I bought everything that Michael's had, and no place else. I was trying to find actual plaque bases, but
When you say Michael's,
like 6.
did you mean Michael's
The craft store.
craft?
Yes. I actually went to Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, all the places my lady has to fight me to go, and I had to actually go to all of them.
The
But
next
did you
time-
go by yourself? That's the
Yes, I
question.
did.
Oh, wow.
And I wore my All Things BMX mask.
All right.
Did they think you were going to rob the place with that beard?
You know, I'm not your typical craft store customer.
No, you were not.
I was profiled.
That was profile.
You know, yeah.
Can
they
you go to
followed
a
me
full
around.
screen
They had
on him
6
right now
ready,
just so they
stun guns,
know?
They're ready for me.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
All right. So
That is why you would think,
That is one ugly mug.
you beautiful son of a gun, you.
I don't know. I'm not.
How was practice tonight out at your track, by the way?
Actually, it was very good, man. It was a real nice night for it.
Good
Lord knows
turnout?
the truth. It was about 73 degrees, no wind.
yeah.
It was nice.
The barometric
Pretty good
pressure was
turnout.
at
Not
like
quite like the last few
82%.
weeks, but it is what it is.
Awesome.
Very nice, very nice.
Good deal. So that's coming up this weekend. I-69
the I-69
Triple
Triple
Challenge. All right. So we're gonna go Port Huron's Friday, Capital City Saturday, and Richfield Park on Sunday.
Yep,
Cool.
and then Richfield Park is a late start. Like we actually usually do registration 11 to 12:30, but to accommodate our volunteer that will be running registration that day, we're starting at 2 o'clock to 3:30, so it'll be later.
Oh, later
nice.
in the day.
And Monday's a holiday, so
Yeah. Maybe there can be a 4th track added to that next Labor Day, and we can have a
Oh, sure.
4-track
See if we can
race.
get somebody else
Oh.
signing up on there for sure.
If you know somebody that might have a
I might.
BMX
Hey,
track,
I might know somebody.
Midland might be opening. I don't know for sure.
Midland.
Oscoda.
Yeah.
GTC for sure.
Well, these are all true. Well, anyway. The next little bit of news we have is our Mighty Mo's BMX cruise, because I couldn't get the commercial done. I'm sorry, but it will be epic when it's done. So, Chris, tell them
All right.
when the cruise sets sail and where it's going.
Okay, so here we go. Mighty Mo's BMX Cruise set sail September 13th through the 17th, 2021. So you guys got over a year to plan this thing out. It's going to be on the Royal Caribbean's Independence of the Sea. You're going to, let's see here, spend a day on Nassau's Cocoa Bay.
You have a house there, probably?
No, I don't.
You have a chateau.
No. No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Everybody
man.
thinks I got all this craziness. So make sure you make your plans to be on Mighty Mo's BMX cruise. Special guest speaker will be Stompin' Stu Thompson. And we're going to have a humanitarian award for Howard Cato from Bay Area BMXers. And our MC for the evening will be the one and only Hollywood Mike Miranda. So, and we also have a dodgeball tournament during the cruise, sponsored by All Things BMX Show. So we have.
You say that real passively.
I'm just trying.
I'm gonna knock your effing block right off in that tournament, Chris. Your butler is gonna need to wake you up with smelling salt.
Oh boy! All right. So we're going to have some kind of challenge going on with this dodgeball tournament.
If we're on the same team, you better go out there blindfolded like Ben Stiller did in dodgeball.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
I guess I need to see that one. I haven't
it's
seen
Vince Vaughn. Ben Stiller was on the Cobra team.
I got to watch that. I haven't seen that movie, honestly. I need to see that. I hear it's really good. I'm sorry. These guys are going to kill me here. You haven't seen that?
Can't dodge.
Can't dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball, Chris. What the hell?
Where's the wrench at?
Yeah, I'm going to go get one out of the garage.
I don't know that dodgeball's a good idea for myself, but I'll give it.
I'm not the most agile person, but we'll do it.
Well, you know, somebody who doesn't see so well, it might not be such a good idea.
You might be the best at it.
It might just end up being the best one. So that's all on Mighty Mo's BMX Cruise. So make sure you go check that out. There's going to be a boat full of BMX racers that are not at a BMX race. You know,
Yeah, and make sure you hit up Anita, and she's going to get you guys signed up. Damon, you better sign up because Mo just voluntold us, you and I, that we're going to be DJing at that cruise. So you can hit her up at 630-373-8070, and you guys have
You're
the
on
rates.
vacation. You're not allowed to be working the whole time.
When do I not
Well,
work?
I'm just telling Mo and everybody else in the world, we are going to be on vacation.
I mean, we're going to be on a boat,
Melissa's-
which means I'm going to be pretty much incoherent because I can't see the shore. So,
All right.
Anyway,
all right.
Melissa's laying down the law
I
here.
know.
You're
Damon's gonna DJ.
It's getting more and more like work.
Damon's going to be DJing then. Our last bit of news we have is the Fort to Port race.
Ohio versus Indiana.
Same weekend as the I-69 triple shootout. So if you live in Michigan, you go do the I-69 triple challenge. If you live in Indiana or Ohio, you're going to do the Fort to Port. So this has been going on for a few years. That epic trophy you see on that screen is what's up for grabs. It is Fort Wayne versus Toledo Speedway BMX. Opening race will be in Fort Wayne at 10 o'clock. Now, probably going to be more like noon.
Well, registration's 10 to 11:30.
Yeah. So, if you're going to take a staycation and you want to go to Indiana, God knows why you want to do that from any other state, Barney. Barney's a TO there, by the way, Joe. And
So I think we're going to get some trash talk in Indiana versus Ohio here.
I'm going to shit talk them because I'm from Michigan right now. I'm going to go down there and just race and not claim a track and blow up their points. And Jason, too. So what it is, Ohio versus Indiana, you race at both tracks. And what's cool is the visiting track, the home track gets less points than the visiting track. So it's kind of a neat thing. It's pretty cool. We're going to adopt it. And chances are there'll be a track in Michigan next year that's part of this. So with that said, any of you cats not doing anything from Ohio or Indiana, y'all need to represent your state. So get off your lazy ass. Make sure you're racing for either Fort Wayne or Toledo this weekend. And if you live in Michigan, make sure you do the I-69 Triple Challenge Shootout. You want to do birthdays, bro?
For sure. All right.
You going to do any of those races, or are you going to stay home?
You know,
You're going to wax your helicopters, don't lie.
yeah, I got...
And pet your llama.
I got my youngest is heading off to college next week, so we got a lot of stuff going on.
Can't even make a joke about that.
No. But we do have a few birthdays coming up this week. Are they the same ones I have here?
No, they are.
Okay.
I made sure. Actually, this week it was.
All right.
It did work.
So we want to say happy birthday this week.
He's a big supporter of the show, by the way.
Steve Kennedy. We'd
He
like to
is.
wish you a happy birthday. Who's
Yeah, well, I don't
hear
know
more
if it's
about him, or-
PC correct or not to call him by his nickname, so we'll just.
Okay.
It's Jake Watson.
all right? Jacob Watson, happy birthday to you, and then Scott Glannon.
He's Jewish. We used to call him Jake the Jew, but he's Jewish. I don't know if that's PC correct. And look, if Facebook shuts me down for it or YouTube does, I'll dispute it. But that's his own nickname that he gave himself. So he's a
Okay.
BMXer. He never had that on the back of his jersey, but he just that's
Okay.
what he went by.
Well, happy birthday, Jacob Watson.
What was his nickname?
I'm not saying that. I don't want to get in trouble. Scotty Glannon.
That's
we want to wish you a happy
RSVP.
birthday. Yep, RSVP. So we want to make sure you get him a happy birthday, and
That's all the birthdays, man.
that's what we got. Just the 3 this week.
That was it, man.
So if you have a birthday you want us to share, email us, like we said,
Or
all
text
things,
or anything.
text, carrier pigeon, whatever it is. Get it over here to us.
Put
We'll
it on
try
one of
and-
those Elon Musk satellites.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, those things are wild.
What time is it now?
Right now, it
Bedtime.
is.
Well, before bedtime.
Way past my bedtime.
It is
There it is.
time for Melissa's trivia question.
Yeah, but I asked you another question that you didn't respond to.
No.
All right.
Hold on one second.
Of course
So-
they do. Yeah.
Are you sure? Because
Oh,
I've
100%.
never heard that in my entire life.
Nope.
Okay.
Look at him posing.
Okay, yeah, I know. I know he's prepared.
Bring this one. It is going to be the
All right,
best
all right.
trivia
I'm
question
gonna
ever.
give. I'm gonna give
Oh.
Justin
We're putting hat
credit where credit is due.
Let's
and
put one of those
and
hats in.
This is. It's your show, babe.
No, it's
Whatever you
not.
wanna
It's your
do.
show.
I
You're
have
the
a quick
producer.
idea. I can throw a couple things together and send them out if you want to do 2 trivia questions.
Oh,
Or we could do an extra bonus.
we can do.
What do you want to
However you want to do it. I'm all in.
I feel like this is your question. You're
Well,
good.
the first one is because
I
it's
know.
epic.
I know.
So let's put a hat in this one right here.
Okay.
What hat?
All right.
Oh, all things BMX
All right,
show
so
hat.
I got a couple of T-bone T-shirts and a tank top and a heavy pedals. It's the third one that you're featured in, right, Joe?
I'm actually in first and third, but third's the important one. That's
Okay,
the
all
really,
right. So there's a really nice interview with Joe in here, and of course
Yeah,
I came
that
up to the
one's-
page, but all right, and then I guess Justin's feeling generous and throwing in a all things BMX hat.
All right.
Okay, so the question is.
What is the
We
question?
want to know who is featured in the picture on Joe's T-shirt.
Epic. I love it.
So, first one to get the correct guess, we'll be sending out your prize package.
Was it one of the 2 that you sent me, Jason?
Nope.
So, I have
send it
cleared
to you
my
right
chat.
now. It's and it is somebody you'll be like,
No,
oh my
no,
god.
stop.
Oh, don't
talk.
Yeah, you'll be like, what? I totally knew that.
I totally knew that.
Totally did.
Well, Autumn says she has the same shirt.
What?
Oh,
She
well,
does?
then Autumn should know who that is.
She didn't give the answer, but she said she has the same shirt. Brandon says
Oh, it is
Robo.
not Robbo.
Or Rabo?
close.
Close.
They're
They're
buddies.
they're
very
yes.
good buddies.
They're from the same group.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're getting hints now.
Oh, but Autumn didn't know who it was.
Adam just bought it because it was a cool shirt.
I probably would have done the same. Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
no judging. That's exactly what I would have done.
Give Autumn a little shout
While
out
we're-
for buying the shirt, anyways.
It's not an easy one if you're not into trails as much as racing.
Well,
Oh, she won it.
Oh, she
Yeah.
won it.
So,
So,
no,
Miranda.
not Robbie Miranda.
Brandon, you just want that hat, don't you?
He's yeah.
Don't you have one?
who wants the hat?
Brandon.
Oh, Brandon Neiman,
Who's our guest next week, Chris?
Ron McDonald.
Does Joe want to do his shout outs while we're waiting for an answer?
Absolutely. Joe, it's
That's
your
a
time
good-
for your shout outs.
Geez, yes, I want to shout out Foothills BMX like we talked about. I want to shout out Bethel Supercross, and you know what? I got to shout out all the tracks in Connecticut because we've had a tough year and everyone's making the best of it. And I think it's great. And then I want to shout out the trail scene because we're digging a lot and we're having a lot of fun. And that's important too. But I'd say my big shout out will be to you guys for recognizing how we can all work together, even though we're doing somewhat the same thing, because we're all very different and we all have something to add. So just thanks for inviting me to be on your show and do what we can for other people. And hey, Ron's going to be the first one we're going to do something together on, I hope, shortly, as soon
Yeah,
as
that
soon
would
as
be
we can.
amazing.
That'd be great. Yeah. Well, thank you for the compliment. We really appreciate that for sure.
You're welcome.
So
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So
I'm sorry, I should mention Powers Bike Shop and
Always.
Old Bones Therapy. Sorry about that.
Old Bones
Old
Therapy. Is
Bones
that really the
Therapy.
name? That's
I'm not kidding.
amazing.
that's a sweet name.
That's a
Oh, yeah.
a compression. Well, of course, Melissa's gonna know. This is a compression sock with it's like a
With
rubber
it's
that
patellar
goes around your
support.
kneecap.
It's for patellar support.
So,
Yeah.
so I have a meniscus tear that I've had since I broke that same leg, and I wear these, and they're great people, and they sent me a bunch of nice things, and so I guess
We got one.
we'll say I'm a brand ambassador.
Okay.
Awesome.
This is-
Awesome.
this is their hat
can-
right here, this ruling hat. So
Nice.
And where?
I'm probably going to have to research them because I've got a torn meniscus myself.
sure. But and of course, Powers, who sponsors my podcast, Powers Bike Shop.
And where can folks find the podcast?
Everywhere, legitimately.
Legitimate podcast sources.
All the
They're all on
services.
Justin's phone. You have to get to Justin's phone to hear my podcast.
They're on Justin's phone.
I'm not. I told it. Well, Justin talked about it. I'm not very tech savvy, but I know you can get it through Stitcher, iTunes, and Jesus, a couple
No,
others.
it's
SoundCloud.
it's everywhere. I earlier I was looking it up to put it on the banner,
Yeah.
in the show. So I looked it up and I'm like, wow, that's what it looks like to have your podcast on everything.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because what happens is when the place you upload it to, and then it seeds from there. Like what happens is more and more people listen. It just your seeder goes at and keeps submitting it to more and more places because they get credit for the
kickback
fact
or
that your
points
podcast
or-
grows. So like, no, it's on like a lot more places than you probably know. Yeah, like I just did a general Google search and I'm like, where's the main place? I mean, you're on Apple. That's all that matters. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to. I gotta open this hat up a little bit. My head.
you
is really
should.
growing.
You probably have to open the door up when you leave the bedroom. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we did have a winner, right, Melissa?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No,
I don't know.
Who's the winner?
Say no?
no,
He
you
didn't
go
win?
ahead. No, he did,
Oh,
but you
okay.
have to announce it.
Jeff, I don't know the last name. Sorry, is it Milky?
Close enough. Here's how I know Jeff. He volunteered to be a corner marshal. This is how small of a world it is. He volunteered to be a corner marshal at the Waterford Oaks State Race.
Well, I apologize
awesome.
for screwing your
Yeah,
name
we
up, Jeff.
probably didn't get it right. It's cool. I just put him in my phone as Jeff can't pronounce your last name. That's literally how it's in my
Is that
phone.
how it's in there?
So it's cool.
It might be Milka.
Yeah.
Milk?
So
Sorry,
and then he
I'm gonna
came out and
stop.
he helped us do the turns on Saturday.
Oh, great.
He had the gray shirt on. So shout out to Jeff. Message Melissa through the show, and we'll get your kit for you, or just come out to practice on Thursday.
Oh, there
We'll
you
have
go.
it for you.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good job. That was. It's not the easiest one.
Oh, Brandon says I said it right. Well,
Did he?
you're not Jeff, Brandon, but I'll take your word for you.
Now, you have your trivia question.
What?
Joe does.
He does?
Well, he said he was going to do a two-part.
Oh no, I thought
I
you
think
had
you
two, that's why.
misunderstood.
My bad. Then.
I could probably make one up quick.
Hey, we've got all kinds of T-bone stuff to give away. So if you want to do your own,
Well,
that's fine.
I would say, what is the name of the track that my friends and I and a couple adults built and opened 25 years ago this year?
Oh.
All right. So we're going to have another T-Bone prize pack out. Plus,
You did say it right, Melissa. It is milky.
Yeah.
Is it milky?
Yeah.
I guess
Is it?
so.
Yeah.
Is it?
Did you mention this track in our conversation
Yes.
this
Yes,
evening?
he did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, good. I'm
I-
glad you guys
I
know.
could answer it.
I could too.
Well, you're-
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can't win your own prize pack.
I mean,
I don't know. I can't get one of those hats. I might.
you can for.
I don't know. You ride for
29.
the team. You probably could.
I mean,
Yeah. As
Chris
long as
Beer's
I pay
rate's
my
like
money.
$37.
Yeah.
Didn't you take one when you were in Toledo?
No, I bought one.
So you have one.
Yes, I do.
Then what do you mean you can't get
I
one?
was just giving. Don't even. I just wanted to
I
win
think
them.
Autumn. I think Autumn's. Yeah. Is it Foothills?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
it.
was.
Oh.
Autumn wins.
All right.
That's the one.
That's
Congrats.
Marty's answer. Marty wins.
Oh.
She's being
Melissa,
honest.
if you want to get an address, I'll send something out.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
And if there's a size, if you get a size from
Cool.
Autumn, you said.
Yeah. Autumn and Marty, they ride for our team.
Okay. So just I only have men's sizes, so I'll find whatever I have. I'll send.
Make it work.
Well, she claims it was Marty's answer, so we're probably good.
So, the runner-up was Mary McGilvery, Joe.
Oh, Marie McGilvery.
Or
from
Marie,
Florida.
sorry,
You're kidding.
Marie McGilvery, who is a well-known pro for GT. She said Shoreham BMX.
At where?
It was she chimed in with Shoreham BMX.
Oh, that yeah, that's not the track I
It
was
wasn't.
involved in, but yeah, Marie McGilvery. I'm just having her listen to this podcast. That's a big deal. She's in Florida.
Yep.
And she's amazing. She was an amazing racer, and I don't think anyone would not remember her from the days of her racing.
I can be. I can tell a quick story on her. 22 down at Christmas Classic, and waiting and staging. She was talking to my buddy's mom, and I was like, she rides for GT. I'm like, Denise, give me your autograph. Give me your autograph. Denise, knock it off. I'm like, Denise, just give me your autograph. She's talking to you. Knock it off. Get her autograph.
Was that another chicken shit moment?
Yes, it
Sounds
is.
like it.
Wow.
Sounds like
I
it.
have so many in this sport. So many. so many.
I don't understand why.
It's BMX, man.
Yeah. Well, you know.
I did mess her name up, Brandon. I did. Because I'm like, what the fuck? What is she doing on our show right now? That's awesome.
That is
and thank
wild.
you for joining us, by the way.
Yes, for sure.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
I
It
gotta
is
get my
time.
girl to bed here.
It is
Yeah.
time, Chris.
All right. Again, we'd like to thank Joe for stopping by and hanging out with us. Make sure you check out his podcast, BMX In Our Blood. You can find that on all major podcast platforms. Download that, check it out. Also, make sure you follow us, like us on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter, Periscope. Also, the podcast version of the show is available on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and that's sponsored by our friends over at Gate 9 Custom Number Plates. And if you have any information you'd like to share with the show, suggestions for guests, anything you at all, email us at allthingsbmxshow@gmail.com. All right, I think we hit everything. We're good to go. Again, Joe, thank you for stopping by tonight. We really appreciate it. Everybody out there, have a great weekend. God bless.